Wow, the wild card. Real GMs doing real GM business. Billy Guerin, former New Jersey Devil, current Minnesota Wild general manager, goes out and gets it done. Oh, we got. Hold on, I'm all excited. We got voice delays here. 1 second. But wow, no one saw this coming. An absolute fumble of the century, arguably. The inside track. The brothers, Jack and Luke, probably all excited for it to happen. And what a tease it was.
And how about those Devils?
Welcome back, Devils. Here I'm running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And this will be the fumble heard around the hockey world, my friends. Just in from Elliot Friedman. Minnesota Wild land one of the best players to be traded in recent years, if not the best. Quinn Hughes, brother of Jack and Luke Hughes, is not going to be a New Jersey Devil, at least anytime soon. Still maybe in the summer of 2027. Quinn Hughes is traded to the Minnesota Wild, a team that I don't believe was even rumored by anybody. Elliot Friedman reporting this just a few minutes ago. And in a stunner, I obviously have my shades on because the future is bright, Jersey Devils club. But in the meantime, we're going to discuss the fumble of the century here. And Quinn Hughes to Minnesota for Marco Rossi, Zeev, Buium, Liam Ohgren, and a first-round pick. A steep price to pay, but Fitz once again has come in second, cannot get the deal across the finish line. And it's unfortunate. I'm not going to be as gutted as many people are. I do think that Quinn would have helped this team, and it would have been a great story. And I'm sure the owners and the marketing team, everyone was like all in on this. Shout out to any Wild or Canucks fans if you're here, by the way. What a monster trade. I don't know who's in here. This is a big league-wide story, so this could potentially have fans from all different teams in here. But this is a New Jersey Devils channel, and we're just here to talk about how our failure of a general manager has once again failed to take home the prize. This time, perhaps the biggest one he's been in on. Quinn Hughes trying to unite the brothers and doesn't get it done. Billy Guerin, former New Jersey Devil, puts it all on the line, doing some shrewd GM business, comes out of nowhere and sends a monster package. And if I'm being honest, I will say this, guys. At this point, I don't think Quinn Hughes is ever coming to the Devils. Let that sink in. I do not think Billy Guerin, and I could be wrong, this could be speculation. Billy Guerin does not strike me as a guy who's going to send that package without believing he has a very good chance of re-signing Quinn Hughes. And I don't know, we don't know all the details yet. Could that be a part? Could that have been a part of the negotiations? For all we know, the deal could be waiting to be signed. It could be. I don't know when it's technically eligible to be signed. I'm not sure if it's January or what it is, but they could potentially already have the long-term contract ironed out. And I don't think Billy Guerin is shipping that package there unless he knows or strongly believes that he is going to be able to sign Quinn Hughes to a long-term deal. And so this could officially be the funeral for Quinn Hughes to the Devils. Again, the future is very bright, guys. Nothing to worry about here. Obviously, Devils news earlier today, Arseny Gritsuk also injured and out of the lineup for the weekend. But wow, I'm just watching this all happen in real time, and it's wild. But congratulations to, I guess, both fan base. More congratulations to the Wild. You got a phenomenal player in his prime, generational type player, Billy Guerin, getting it done. Yeah, congratulations to the Wild fans and to Canucks fans. I know it's probably going to be a tough pill to swallow. Anytime you lose a player like that, you're not getting a player like that in return. But you guys got a pretty good haul, and this situation had to be dealt with one way or another. Obviously, the long-term plan of having Quinn Hughes there was not going to pan out, and so the Canucks had no choice but to cash Quinn Hughes in for the best possible package they could get. And what the Wild sent there was the best possible package I'm sure anyone was going to pay. I'm sure they've been talking to other teams nonstop over the past week or so. This has become a monster distraction in Vancouver. Hockey media has gone crazy with this. And it was going to be a massive story on a daily basis until Quinn Hughes was finally traded somewhere. Now, I'm not I'd have to believe most Wild fans are happy about this. Again, this is very fresh. The kid Zeev, a lot of Devils fans are furious that we did not draft him when they had the opportunity and thought that was going to come back to haunt the organization. But here we are, a Friday night bomb, an absolute bomb. And I'm stunned. I really thought this was going to be one that the New Jersey Devils did not miss on. I really thought this one, because of the implications with the brothers, the long-term kind of plan, it all seemed like this was going to happen. But it has not. And here we are on Friday when no one was expecting anything. This trade goes down. Devils left on the outside looking in. And, I don't really know what to think about all this. This is a monster hockey trade. Monster hockey trade. Give me 1 second. I'm just reloading my phone here. I mean, this is completely wild. Wow. Wild stuff. Yeah, what a trade. I'm curious to hear if there's any fans of these teams in here, what they're thinking. But for the New Jersey Devils, it is yet another swing and another miss on the track record. The New Jersey Devils left to figure it out from here. A team that desperately needed help. Again, I did say I was not all in on Quinn Hughes the way other people were. Obviously, I would have been happy if we were able to get him. How could you not be happy if you're a fan of any team and your GM goes out and gets a guy like Quinn Hughes? I mean, you have to be happy about that. It's potentially a franchise-altering kind of trade. Historic trade. But I do believe this team has more pressing needs. And if you've watched the Devils for any sort of time span, over the past few weeks, without Jackhughes, this team looks absolutely lost. And Quinn Hughes was not going to fix it all. I know a lot of people believed that he was going to, but Quinn Hughes by himself, he's one guy. He's a very good defenseman. He was not going to fix all of our issues on his own. Now, would Quinn and a couple other moves have potentially made the team a lot better? I do believe that. But now the Devils kind of have a second chance at this. I do believe, not at Quinn Hughes, but I do believe that any other moves were on the back burner until Quinn Hughes either became a Devil or was traded elsewhere. Now the Devils know all the assets they were potentially looking at trading to Vancouver for Quinn are obviously still available. Quinn is gone. And so now where does Tom Fitzgerald turn his attention to? And obviously it's not going to be another offensive defenseman. If we're being honest, the Devils on paper did not have a need for Quinn Hughes. Great luxury to have. Would love to, everyone would love to have that shiny toy. But you do not look at the Devils and say they are an offensive defenseman away from being a true contender or anything of the sort. And so now, with all the assets that were kind of held in limbo, kind of hostage, if you will, while this deal was being negotiated, those pieces are still in play. And so what does Tom Fitzgerald do with it? Now, I don't know that we will see any sort of major move made. I still would be not ecstatic, but I would be happy with any sort of even minor moves. Obviously, the 3C is what everyone wants, and some of you may consider that a major move depending on who it was or who it is. But this was a thing beyond hockey, I would say, for Quinn Hughes. It was not a necessity whatsoever. we didn't need him. And so here we are with a new chance at making a splash. I think the upper management team probably already wrapped their heads around moving on from some of the guys they were talking about moving to the Canucks. And so now when you take a look at this team, is there any other big splashes you could go make? I don't think there will be any monster moves. Like I said, I do think at best case, we maybe get a 3C, but maybe it's time to try to make a big splash. Can you package up some of the assets that you may have had in mind to send to Vancouver for Quinn? Can you package them up to a team like Buffalo and try to pry a guy like Tage Thompson? Again, I don't know that they're going to trade him. They probably don't want to, but I'm calling GMs and trying to make deals on guys that aren't even being marketed, because sometimes you could twist someone's arm that way. I know that, so-and-so is not available, but would he be available if I offered you X, Y, and Z? Got to get creative. Something needs to happen. This team is slowly drowning, but wow, Quinn Hughes, now a member of the Minnesota Wild in one of the more stunning developments that I could remember. I don't think I've seen a single of all the teams that were rumored to be in on Quinn. I don't think I saw a single one talking about the Wild. I may have, I could have possibly missed it. It may have been out there. I mean, listen, the Quinn Hughes news cycle was absolutely dominating all of the hockey message boards and social media. And so maybe there was a rumor out there. I certainly didn't see it. I think this kind of came out of nowhere. But we go, Bobby, thank you for the super. Fitz is the most incompetent GM in all professional sports. He has ample players to off, and once again, Fitz messes up. Fire Fitz now. I can't disagree with that. Thank you. Fentanyl Floyd, Tom Band-Aid Fitzgerald won't address any needs. Well, he tried, guys. He tried. He was in on this deal. He was in on Quinn, but he came in second, unfortunately, like he likes to do. I'm just soaking this all in. It literally came in like, 15, 20 minutes ago now. I had to set up all the stuff. I was working on something else. It's just a wild night. I really did believe that this deal was the Devils to make. I do think the owners were probably all in on this. They probably told Fitz, make it happen. I do think that, Minnesota offered a package that, I don't even know what would a package take from the Devils to have topped that. It would have taken a lot. I mean, there was the rumors of Mercer, Nemitz, Picks. That was kind of the strong rumors that were going around. But, Rossi, Zeev, a first, and missing a piece. That's a lot. Oh, man, the Canucks haven't even posted this yet. So far, it looks like just Elliott. Imagine if this was all just misinformation. That'd be hilarious. But pretty much once Elliott posts something, I consider it to be 1,000% fact. But it would be funny if it was I had bad information and the one time he was wrong, or at least on the biggest scale. Going to be crazy to see this play out. But for those just joining, the Minnesota Wild and Billy Guerin, former New Jersey Devil, current GM of the Minnesota Wild, goes out and bags the trophy, takes home the biggest trophy we've possibly seen traded midseason in some time. I know some people are going to say Rantanen, to me, even though Rantanen had a great playoffs and he's a very good player, he's not Quinn Hughes. And I'd be curious to know how Jack and Luke are feeling right now. Were they believing that this was going to happen now? And again, I starting to question the free agency thing. And maybe the whole time this was just kind of cutesy talk about uniting the Hughes brothers, and it never was remotely real. I do think now you may see Quinn Hughes sign an extension in Minnesota. I don't think Billy Guerin would have gambled those assets on a maybe. I feel like he had a very strong inclination that he was going to be able to sign him. Otherwise, that's a deal that if you only have Quinn Hughes for these 2 years, if you don't win a cup, then that's a massive fail, obviously. But Quinn Hughes would have definitely signified kind of a new, not an entirely new era, but it would have been a big shakeup with what it would have taken, and I think would have maybe rejuvenated this Devils team, but it wasn't in the cards, guys. Evan, thank you for the super. This was the time to shake up the team. Horrible. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are devastated about this. There was a lot of people who were super jacked up about the possibility of getting Quinn Hughes. And listen, I get it. Anytime, no matter what position it is, if your team is heavily rumored to one of the best players in the league, and especially when you already have two brothers here, I understand how some people kind of in it, and I get it. I do think they did pay a high price. I think it was kind of in line with what most people were reporting or speculating about. And the Canucks got the best package, or they accepted the best package that they got, and that's a pretty damn good package. That is a very good package. And so again, we don't know what the future ramifications are of this. Is this just a very, very expensive rental for Billy Guerin in the Minnesota Wild, or is Quinn Hughes going to sign there long-term? I don't know. And I would love to know what types of conversations, if any, were had between the Quinn Hughes camp and the Minnesota Wild, because again, to part with those pieces for just 2 years of Quinn Hughes and 2 playoff runs, that is a massive gamble. A massive, massive gamble, because if you do not win a Stanley Cup in those 2 years, and Quinn Hughes does in fact sign either with the Devils or somewhere else in free agency, and you didn't win a cup and you squandered those pieces, that's the type of move that could set an organization back quite a bit. Quite a bit. And so time will tell. We have no way to know. I'm sure this will be developing as the night goes on. We may get more details. Neither team, as of 2 seconds ago, had posted this yet. But this is an absolute bomb. A Friday night bomb, courtesy of NHL insider Elliot Friedman. And I'm still just kind of absorbing all this. I mean, I saw it a couple minutes after it came out, and wow. I'm in second, but here we are. And who knows? Maybe he didn't even come in second. Maybe he came in third or fourth. But this is a massive, massive trade in the league. And the Devils obviously down another man. And the crazy part is, like, you can't make this up. Early on in the season, if someone said, who's the last player you would want to see the Devils lose for some sort of injury, obviously everyone's going to say Jackhughes, right? Chicago cut. That happens. We lose Jack. We've been struggling as of late. And then out of nowhere yesterday, the next guy would be the one you don't want to lose. Timo Meier out on personal leave to tend to a family matter. And obviously I hope all is well with Timo Meier and his family. He's gone for who knows how long dealing with a family matter. And so now we lose the next most important guy kind of on the list. And I guess you can make the argument for Nico too, but as of late, I would say Timo, just because he is our only bull. Has been scoring a good amount as of late in Jack's absence. And so then Timo would be the second most important guy to the team. He's out. And then after that, today we get the next guy. And again, it would go between Grits and Nico. Like, who's the next guy that would be the worst one to lose? One of the two, and bang, there it is. Grits has been nursing an injury and is not playing this weekend. And so now a team that was already injury riddled without Timo Meier because of leave, lose Gritsuk to injury. The injury plague is still haunting this team. Everyone desperately hoping for some change with this organization, whether that's Tom Fitzgerald finally relieved, albeit a long time after it should have happened, or he wakes up and makes some trades, and here we are. And so now this is where real judgment time comes in. This organization is basically at the precipice of a major crossroads. They were in on this deal. They did not make it happen. They came in second or even possibly lower. And now where do they go from here? Because the fan base is screaming from the mountaintops for change. The team on the ice is screaming, get us help. Injuries keep happening. Weird other things keep happening. And now this team is going to go into battle this weekend with even more AHL players in the lineup than we saw last night. An entire fourth line made up of AHL players. And now we're going to be without Arseny Gritsuk for tomorrow. So I don't know where they go from here. We need to see movement. This team needs to be improved. It's long overdue. I thought last week after the second 3-game losing streak, before it became 5, before it ballooned to 5, when it was at 3, I said, I've seen all I need to see, and I think something should happen immediately. Very troubling the way it's not just the losses, it's the way they were losing the games. And here we are. And so Quinn Hughes traded in a blockbuster arguably one of the bigger deals in a long time, goes to Minnesota. I mean, Billy Guerin just putting it out on the line after signing the biggest contract in NHL history with Kaprizov. He goes out. That was what, a month or two ago? A month or two after that, he goes out and he follows it up with one of the biggest trades in NHL history. This is the man that got away from the Devils organization. We would be in much better shape if he was the GM for the past several years. But either way, the future is obviously bright. Hoping for the best this weekend. At this point, going into the 3-game homestand, I was hoping the Devils were going to win 2 of the 3 games. They lose the opener. And really, what? We're hoping to win one of these next 2. Ducks are going to be hard. Canucks, worst team in the league, and they just got much worse by way of trading Quinn Hughes. And so for all the people that thought you were going to be able to chant something interesting at the game on Sunday for Quinn Hughes, that has been eradicated and is no longer an option. So here we are, guys. What does this team do? It seems like Fitz is here for the long haul. Doesn't seem like his job is in jeopardy, despite everyone on the planet thinking it should be. And here we are. I go to the chat. Some of you guys are going to be super chatty. I wasn't planning on this whatsoever. I had a lot of things to do. But it's not every day that a major bombshell gets dropped like this. But Fitz comes in second again, guys. Robbie's bench toss. Guarantee Billy will use "we sacrifice the future for you" angle to pressure Quinn to sign. I don't know how effective his words will be, but 18-year, is it still 8 years? The CBA didn't change yet. Can they still sign for 8 years max? I think an $18 million by 8 contract offer is certainly a lot more enticing than using the words. But who knows? Again, we don't know what went on prior to this getting done. But I just find it extremely hard to believe that Billy G to get Quinn Hughes for only 2 years. Mark, Fitz is saddleless with too many extensions and no move clauses, and that's why trading for us is difficult. Oh, it's obviously difficult, and we all know it was going to take moving Dougie and or Palat in conjunction with this other move to make the cap space, because obviously the Devils are cap strapped at the moment. And who knows, maybe the way Fitz kind of painted himself in a corner was a barrier to get this deal done. But in the end, I do think the package they offered was probably more attractive than whatever the Devils offered, despite their cap problems and their need to facilitate other deals before being able to finalize a deal with Vancouver. The man from Jersey 201, pardon my French, but this is BS. No excuse to not fire Fitz now. We're definitely lottery bound. Sorry to sound like a doomer ace. Like I said, I'm not nearly as gutted as many other people are. I now hope that the focus turns to, we need to get an exciting big piece up front, because that was the real need. If we're being real, if Quinn Hughes was not related, if it was not the brother of Jack and Luke Hughes, we wouldn't have been linked to this deal at all. Like, an offensive defenseman was not a need whatsoever. It was just a nice luxury item, to unite the brothers and have this whole bonanza. It would have been a great league story, but it didn't happen. The Minnesota Wild swooped in and stole him. And so now what do you do? What do you do to improve a team that so desperately needs multiple pieces? And we rumored to all these other guys. And again, I do think, Fitz had the feelers out to all these other teams, maybe the Stamkos and or Ryan O'Reilly situation, but I think he was not going to do a damn thing until the Quinn Hughes deal happened somewhere, because now he's like, okay, that's done and off the table. We're done with that. So now I can turn my attention to whatever else is possibly going on, because I do think that was their primary deal to get done. They really wanted Quinn. It did not happen. And so now hopefully they go to the true needs, because that was not one of them, in my opinion. And again, don't get me wrong. I still would have been thrilled if we got Quinn Hughes. You'd have to be a lunatic to not be happy for your team to get him, regardless of all other circumstances. But this team needs help, and they need it now. Where do they get it from? 3C would be nice. Everyone wants the 3C. Does it happen? Does a deal with the Predators happen after all the smoke? Do we finally see improvement for this roster? Something has to give, and it has to happen soon. I'm afraid that they find a way to drop both of these next 2 games at home, and I do think team and fan base morale will be at an all-time low. If they lose these next 2 games, I think, everything's already kind of melting down as it is. And we're going to see. I'm trying to catch up in the comments here. Mark says Ace need to make shirts that say we came in second. Traveling, he signs extension until Jack's contract runs out here. We really did come in second again. Spencer, they said 6 to 8 weeks and looks like he was on the better end of it. Did Grits go out for a steak dinner too? No, Grits is just banged up from hockey. It wasn't, I mean, as far as we know, it wasn't an off-ice thing. Jungle, Ace, it's not crazy for Guerin to be gambling on 2 years of Quinn. May you get the cup, maybe not, but it's a good 2 runs and it fits their history and timeline. I don't know, man. That seems certainly steep if he did not think he was going to sign him. For a pure 2-year rental, that is very pricey with some very good pieces sent the other way. Vic, damn, LeBron said the Devils made what they feel was a strong offer for Quinn, but it got no interest from Vancouver. Fitz will indeed say we came in second. Oh, boy. Dakota says RIP to Rossi. Is it? I butcher this guy's name. Buium? Boom? I don't know how to say it. Call him Zeev. Hopefully they play well on the Canucks. Man, Canucks fans are probably down bad right now, but they had to know this was happening. It's been talked about forever. Running with the Woodson. When we get a big body physical forward instead in the future, you will be happy, Ace. If that happened, I would be. I want a true big body, scritty forward to help change the identity of this team because, as many of you know, this team's identity at the moment is anything but. They are too easy to play against, in my opinion, and we are just getting beat up on the ice, and team morale is probably at an all-time low, I'd have to imagine. I mean, this is just the dejected looks on some of their faces. Timu, I don't even care. The Devils are done for the season. Team is horribly built, garbage, immature, and run by morons in the GM seat and ownership. Everyone should be deeply disgusted by it all. I am, but the only thing that gives me optimism is that I do believe if we had a competent GM, they could come in and make a few moves to significantly improve our situation. This, there's still very good pieces here. There's still assets and pieces that could be traded to further improve the team. And so I'm not giving up on the season. Plenty of season to go. Obviously, the play as of late has been very uninspiring and depressing. Very uninspiring and depressing. But at some point, Jack is going to come back. Pesci will be back. And you can make reinforcements. The season's far from over, but something needs to be done because Jack is probably out for like another month. We play a lot of games between now and then. We could end up in a hole that they cannot crawl out of. Bring in the reinforcements. And now who knows how long. I think they said minimum Grits will be out this weekend, maybe longer. And who knows about Timo? Maybe he's out longer too. And so now you're talking about a apocalyptic world, folks. An apocalyptic world where I'm scared about this microphone. Our beloved New Jersey Devils are playing for maybe another week or so. Again, speculation, we don't know. But it could be maybe another week without Jackhughes, without Timo Meier, without Arseny Gritsuk. That is devastating to a team that has been playing like dog duty for quite some time now, with Jackhughes being out of the lineup. I don't have the answers, but again, I know the answer is to not sit with your hands in your pockets and do nothing. Call-ups from Utica and constantly rotating out fourth liners from Utica is not the answer. Hoping and wishing is also not the answer. Now, go out, get some pieces, and see what you can do. But if we just sit idly, I'm afraid we're going to continue to slide, and it'll be too late. And then it's very easy for upper management to be like, well, better luck next year. Bring out the punt team and punt again till next season. Like we saw last year when Jackhughes went down and they decided to call it a day. It's really discouraging. John Fay, look at it this way. Quinn is across the lake from his home state of Michigan. I mean, that means nothing to me, but ways to do with caper. The forwards tomorrow are going to be half AHL. Zomboos. This is a blessing in disguise. This lesson the Hughes have over the organization and maybe opens the door for better trades for the Devils. Souk, just the fact that Fitzgerald can't get big fish, he's a generational loser, and he needs to be fired immediately. I mean, the last thing for me, Mason Keith, I want to know what Fitz offered. I was done with him after the 23-24 season, and I think I was more than fair. To watch a team drown with no goaltending and do nothing is an unforgivable sin. After setting a franchise record with 112 points, beating the Rangers in that 7-game series, to then follow it up with missing the playoffs is a complete travesty. Ice Cube, my Ice Tea, thank you, sir. Now I go for T. Thompson or Jay Robertson. So I will say I would love Tage. Like, I as far as I know, he's not being actively shopped. That would be my number 2. Let's just play fantasy world for a minute. That would be my number 2 phone call if I was Tom Fitzgerald. And again, this is not reality. It's more of a 1 in a million chance, but I at least try, because all you're wasting is a phone call and a couple minutes of your time. Now that the Quinn deal fell through, I am calling the Ottawa Senators and I am offering them one hell of a package to send Brady Tkachuk here. Now, again, I don't think they'd do it. I think they'd hang up the phone on me, but I'm at least calling and trying. I'm going to say, listen, I know Brady's not on the block. You're not looking to move him. You love him, yada, yada. But do you love him enough to deny this deal? And then hit him with the sauce. Just hit him with all the pieces. And I would overpay through the nose. You guys don't even want to know. I'm not even going to play the game. You don't even want to know the package that I would willingly sign off for to get Brady Tkachuk here. It'd be an ungodly haul. It might break records. You guys don't even want to know. You tell me I'm crazy, but I don't think I am. I would do it. Once Ottawa says no thank you, my second call is to Buffalo, trying to get Tage Thompson in a similar thing. I wouldn't pay as much as I would for Brady, but I would offer them a hell of a package to say, listen, you guys aren't sniffing the playoffs again. It's unfortunate. We like Tage. We'd love to have him. Here's the tons of pieces we're going to give you for Tage Thompson. And that's the second phone call I would make. But will they even try? I don't know. You know, and it could be another scenario, again, where they're like, we're not trading him for anything, but I would at least try. You got to be in the game. If you're not in the game, you're not going to get the prize. And Tage would certainly be a prize. As far as Robertson goes, he certainly would help this team. But like I've said with some other guys that people have constantly brought up, including another Buffalo guy in Alex Tuck, guys that are going to be up for a new deal, I would shy away from, because they're going to want to get paid. This is the new cap era. These guys are all looking to cash in, get big tickets. I would prefer to go after a guy like Tage that has some term left on his deal at a cap-friendly number and pay for the, you know, pay or overpay or whatever you want to call it for the contract in place. For guys that are coming up on contracts like Robertson, you know, I like him. Do I want to pay him $12 million or whatever he's going to be asking for? I wouldn't be thrilled about it. You know, if after combing every other possibility, that turned up to be the best possible scenario for the Devils, then maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing. But on the surface, I'm looking for guys with term because he's going to want a lot of money. And we still have, depending on how this all shakes out with other guys, we have tons of question marks about the salary cap. Obviously, if Nemitz is still here, which I hope he is, he's going to get paid a lot of money. Obviously, we have to sign Grits. And so there's a lot of question marks and a lot of dollars going out. I don't know in what planet we would be able to pay a guy like Robertson maybe $12, $13 million. I think it could be a stretch. But in a vacuum, I do like Robertson, and he would certainly help this team. But the contract thing is what would make me kind of focus on other pieces. Bobby, I'm so over Fitz. He can't do anything right by the team. As long as Fitz is the captain of the ship, this team will amount to nothing. Wasted talent. You know, he's able to operate in the offseason. I'll give him that. I've liked some of his off seasons, but the in-season maneuvering, complete failure. Complete failure. Amagi, thank you, sir. Future is bright, except heard Salayev sucks right now. I do think people jump the gun with prospects, and, you know, I've seen these things of people posting his stats and this and that. Like, there's so much crazy stuff, in my opinion, surrounding the KHL and a lot of the practices and things that they do. I hope that he pans out. But again, he's another guy. Salayev is not going to help this current team win a cup anytime soon. And so Salayev is a guy we put in the future's bright conversations. And I'm not quite ready to get there yet, because once we're having those conversations, like extensively or exclusively, once we turn the page to future's bright, I'm going to be in the mental clinic, guys, because I really believed this offseason that this season was going to be different. And maybe some of you are right. Maybe it is shame on me, right? Maybe it is shame on me, but I would like to be optimistic for as long as I can. Obviously, every ounce of optimism has been drained from my body at this point due to what we've seen go on with this team and all the injuries and the bad luck and Fitz doing nothing. But it was a promising season, and it started off that way. Maybe not the first game. The first game was not promising, but then we ripped off an 8-game heater. And I know a lot of you were still critical of the team during then, and congratulations to Doomers. There were crazy people talking smack about the team amidst an 8-game heater, believe it or not, because you guys are negative for life and committed to the cause. And then you ended up being right due to excessive injuries, at least for the moment. Now, again, the season's not over. I do believe you bring in someone who's competent. this could all get turned around. Or if Fitz wakes up and doesn't come in second and make some meaningful moves. But as of right now, if we have to put on the future's bright glasses anytime soon, and that's kind of where the focus of the conversation goes to because the season's officially lost, I will be sick to my stomach because I did believe. I did buy in, and I'm going to fully admit it. You guys know I was super pumped about this team heading into the season. And very quickly into the season, it looked like all of us that were optimistic and high on the team were going to be correct to some extent and rewarded for our faith in this club. Ripping off an 8-game heater, we were flying high. Victory drinks, night after night, celebration. Times were good. Jack Hughes was looking like a beast. It looked like Hart Trophy conversation Jack Hughes, the one we've been waiting for. And then he gets Chicago cut, and then this entire thing goes to hell, sadly. And that is an indictment on some of the other players. You have to be real about it at this point. We've seen what some of these guys are when Jack Hughes is not there and they disappear. Pulling a disappearing act is not going to get it done. Normal teams, good teams, do not fall apart the way this team does without Jack Hughes. It's completely unforgivable. But here we are, guys. Here we are. So what's going to happen now? They whiffed on Quinn. Where do they go from here? But there certainly must be something in the works or something that must get delivered. People fighting in the chat. Ritter Engine, I'm slowly giving up on this team. It's not about Quinn. It's about us having a total inept GM. I agree with you. Dakota says, I'm fine with this if he resigns, but if it's a rental, I'll be mad. Dakota, are you a Wild fan? Captain Mongo, Fitz is a derelict. Forget Quinn. He will screw up the trade like he's done the last 2-3 seasons. Listen, I don't think you should allow a guy that created an absolute disaster. You should allow him to try to fix it. At this point, I'm sorry to say I was done with him after the 23-24 season, a season that could have been promising, that was basically snuffed out due to just completely horrific goaltending. He didn't do anything, gets 2 goalies on deadline day when it was too late. And in my opinion, following up a franchise record-setting season and a playoff win over the Rangers in 7 beautiful games, that should have been the end. That should have been the end, but a lot of people gave him, there was injuries and this and that. What was he supposed to do? How was he going to get a goalie? I'm not buying those excuses, but fine. Some people gave him the pass. I certainly did not and was vocal about it. Then we go to last season, 24-25, where we start off on fire. We're looking great for 3 months, struggle a bunch. Eventually, Jack Hughes goes down late in the season, and the punt team comes in again. Punt team, another season down the drain. And at that point, anyone who gave him the pass for 23-24 certainly should have been like, you know what? Now I am done, because we saw it last year with the goalie. This year it was with forward help. Jack goes down and you quit on the season. And for the people that were still hopeful for this guy after the 23-24 season, last season should have been the final straw. However, we obviously have a bunch of eternal optimists in the fan base. I don't know what the percentage would be, but there's a good amount of them that still gave him the pass. The people that go, oh, Jack went down. What were we supposed to do? You're supposed to get the team some help. Like I've said before, it's not the New Jersey Jack Hughes. It's the New Jersey Devils. Crest on the front of the backwards. Crest on the front of the jersey, not name on the back. And to me, that was a slap in the face to the fans and the players in that locker room to give up on a season just because Jack Hughes went down. And so that should have been the last straw for anyone still remaining on the Fitz ship after 23-24. But then that happened, and there's still some of you still defending him after that season. So now here we are again. So now there's some people that are still defending him after last season. Now we're at this season, and you've seen what happened. If you're not getting deja vu of in-season inactivity from the past 2 seasons, then I don't know what to tell you anymore. It's staring you right in the face. We are watching it again in real time, and this is not overreaction. This is not being an alarmist, because, again, there was people saying all kinds of crazy stuff early on in the season. I held on for as long as I could. But when you have a 3-game losing streak, 3-game win streak, and then a 5-game losing streak, I've seen enough. I'm no longer keeping the blinders on. The blinders of fan optimism no more. The reality is this team showed you who they are. Sheldon Keefe has even said such when reporters said things like along the lines of like, you know, oh, you're a better team than this and blah, blah, blah after some bad games. And he was like, are we? He's like, this is who we are. We're an inconsistent team. We are a super inconsistent team. Bobby, thank you. Hey, we have Luke. He's a true superstar. Yeah, right. I do think the people that have been down on Luke, listen, I get it. It's been a shaky start to the season for him. Not ideal in any way, but I do believe that contract will still age well, and I do believe he's going to be a monster. I just think he's having a little tough go of it right now, but I fully expect him to be the guy that we all thought he could be. And last night, again, I hate silver linings and moral victories and all these things. Last night was a little glimmer of the guy that we've seen before and that we need him to be. That goal he scored last night was absolutely phenomenal. Comes in, jams on the brakes, does a beautiful spin move, comes in, gets wide, and rips a shot right into the net. I mean, that was a classic. That was Luke Hughes doing Luke Hughes things last night, and we need to see that on the regular. And I think some of the detractors of Luke Hughes will finally kind of pipe down once we see that from him more consistently, and we have in the past. And I'm not worried about it long term. Obviously, in the short term, it is a little troubling that he's had a little difficulty kind of getting it going, and he's looked, kind of brutal defensively on some nights. But he was playing on his offside. He is playing monster minutes. Obviously, he does look better with Pesce, and that's not to give him an excuse. And I know once he got paid the money, all of you vultures were going to be coming out of the woodwork. So, you make $9 million, you make $9 million. And I get it. But that $9 million is more of the future value thing. Again, you can't count on him to look like a $9 million defenseman from day one. That's not to excuse poor play. And he's had plenty of poor play up till now. But he's going to be a very good player for us, guys. I'm not worried about Luke whatsoever. Angel, thank you. Minnesota is literally trolling us on their Insta. Let me see. I mean, that is the kind of crazy stuff, right? The world we live in, like professional sports teams playing childish Instagram games. It is kind of funny, but let's see. Wow. Yeah, they're about to start. Yep, all the posts are coming in. All the posts are coming in. Let me see if I can pull some of these up for you fine folks. Bear with me 1 second. Gotta love the Instagram games, right? I mean, wow. They got Luke with a lightsaber. Well, it would just be easier to do it this way. Actually, may I just show it on my phone? Let's see if this works. We got Luke Hughes with the lightsaber. You got the picture of him and his brothers that they cropped out, Jack and Luke, and there's just Luke with the glasses. And there's another one of him on a boat, I think. These boys like their summertime activities. Wild. Absolutely wild. Minnesota Wild. Wow. This is a blockbuster, guys. I'll never forget this night for the rest of my life. Devils whiff on a big one they were heavily rumored in on. And I can't, I really thought this was going to be the one that they didn't miss. I really thought that this was going to be the move that kind of gave Fitz some breathing room. And I think that the owner, I really thought the owners were just going to be like, get him at all costs. And you won't be judged if this doesn't work out well. We want this to happen, but that's not the case, obviously. Or even if that was the case, he still couldn't beat their package, which again, if you want to get crazy with it, I'd imagine you could offer even more, but I mean, how much more are you going to offer? But this is wild. We're going back into the chat here. Yo Home says booze face at the bar. Not Tosh. I got the Emily Kaplan ESPN notification and thought I was hallucinating. I thought I was hallucinating when I saw the text too. We scroll some more here. What a night, guys. What an absolute night. I might need to go get the bottle again. Who gets to see on the Canucks? It's a good question. I don't know. That is a very good question. That's a question for Canucks fans. At this point, their fans are probably in mourning, but they saw it was coming. They had to know. It was talked about every single day. David says, just go to show you all the rumors are just complete speculation. Let's rewind to last trade deadline. Devils were linked to several players and rumors, and we got none of them. Well, it doesn't mean that they weren't in on them. They just couldn't land it. More fighting in the chat. Ice Cube, my IST says, does this mean the other brothers will end up in Minnesota together one day? Not necessarily. We don't know. We don't know if he's going to sign long-term there. I don't know if they would consider that as a city they'd like to play in. I mean, who knows? If the situation was right, I could see anything. I wouldn't say anything's impossible now. But what a ballsy move by Billy Guerin to land this thing. Tons of teams probably in on it for sure. Devils being one of them. And Billy G brings home Quinn. Follows up signing the biggest contract in NHL history for Kaprizov, and now he pulls off one of the biggest trades. What a season for Wild fans and Billy Guerin. Suk, Stamkos overpay incoming. I told you guys I would like Stamkos, but I mean, how much can you overpay for him? I mean, let's be real. How many teams are going to be in on him? Obviously, if there's retention involved, the retention almost has to be involved to even consider it. Timu, this is a poorly built team. Austin, Fitz has to go now. Wow, guys. I'm just let me skip it. The chat is going crazy. Shout out to everybody for being here in this monumental time in hockey history. Jesse, smash that like for your boy Ace. Thanks. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up for a wild Friday surprise that no one saw coming. No one saw coming. I thought we might see something on Monday. I thought this might simmer over the weekend. The Canucks they've seen enough. They're like, we can't deal with this every day. The reporter's asking about it. What's going on, Selected Boy? Suk says Tom Fitzgerald and Tage Thompson in the same sentence is ludicrous. Pro Bowl Brady is staying in Ottawa, though. I think all these big name guys are staying where they are, but I certainly would start kicking tires and offering massive packages to try to truly shake this team up and bring about some foundational change. Brady and Zetterlund. Yeah, I would like that. Ice Cube Meisty says, we need an Italian GM again. That's how you win a cup. I don't know that you're ever going to see that again. Yo Home says, we aren't getting premier players, if any. Can't wait to see who this year's Sprong is going to be. Sadly, if I had to put a ton of money on it, I would predict it is like a depth center move, if anything. I hope I'm wrong and would love to be wrong about this. I would like to see a more substantial 3C brought in. We're obviously being linked to some other names. But like I said, I do think everything was being held up by the Quinn deal. And now that has come and gone, now Fitz should be wheeling and dealing. Business should be on warp speed right now. There's nothing else to wait on. Go improve this team. Pro Bowl says Quinn will probably stay in Minnesota. Stick Figs, you keep on stating hypotheticals. If you were Tom Fitzgerald, do you think Fitz could get any? Do you think Fitz could get any of the interviews for this channel? What? Do you think Fitz could get any of the interviews for this channel if he were? I don't even know what that means, Stick Figs. Plot stats are hilarious to look at. Mark Ace, the math ain't mathing. Fitz blew the cap, and we still have to get compliant when players come back from injury. Yeah, but this is all solved with Dougie and Palat being moved. They have there's a path. Now, again, you have to retain a little bit or give the sweeteners that we talk about to get rid of them? Sure. But you have to do something to free up money, obviously. And he put himself in this position, which is exactly why I don't want to trust him to be the guy to fix it, because you created this to begin with. We had the future is bright for 12 years. Yeah, we're sad to say, I think we're super close to being in that mode again. As much as it pains me and as much as it disgusts me, I just don't know where this team goes from here. And I do think we are at the point we've been talking about, the hardcore conversations. Unless you bring in some real impact pieces to add to that group. And with the cap situation, I don't know how you do. It could be more of the same for quite some time. Timu, the Islanders are a better team than the Devils. They retooled with a #1 overall and a coach that has rules and doesn't allow immature BS. Patrick Waugh. I would have taken a chance on a guy like him for coach, for sure. I am a bit of a sucker for former players, but he's got his team in a good spot right now. Nick, the Devils have no cap flexibility. It makes trading difficult when you overpay 70% of the roster and hand out no move clauses to everyone. Suk says this core is not winning a cup. I hope that that's not correct. It's obviously a massive concern now, and I will maintain I do think if the right complementary pieces were brought in, that they could be part of a winner. But them on their own, they're not gonna get it done. We need some other guys, and we need some real junkyard dogs here. Marduk, this is great news for the Devils. Now make a team that Quinn will be happy to join up with and make some cup runs. Devils got 2 years to fix this. Zupamaki, this organization since Harris Blitzer bought it has been a complete Mickey Mouse shit show. Can't disagree with you there. Ice Cube, my iced tea. We need to poach some talent. That's the bottom line. We're going to get killed if we don't. Look at all the young talent around the league. Some people are happy about this. David, good move not getting Quinn. Would have given up way too much. Yes, he's a great player, but realistically, we need a center. I agree with that as well. They're not going to be anywhere near the level of, player that Quinn is, but it's definitely more of a positional need. Quinn was just a nice luxury to have if we could have landed him. And again, I am pretty shocked that we didn't. Select the Boy says, I'm more angry about the team's recent performance and not getting Quinn to New Jersey. I completely agree as well. I'm more gutted about what we saw last night and what's been going on for a couple of weeks now. Frank, this year's Devils team is my biggest disappointment in my entire life as a sports fan. It's not just the injuries. It's the way the healthy players totally failed to step up when we needed them most. And that's a fair point. You know, Brad's been getting assists, and he finally scored last night, a meaningless goal. But, like, where are the goals? We need a lot more from everybody. And it's unfortunate. This is where we are right now. The injuries have decimated us once again. Natasha Sprong and Chalowski at the deadline. Jason said, I knew they weren't getting Quinn. Other teams had better packages to offer. I really thought we were going to get him, and I thought we would have overpaid if we had to just to get him. Nick, how about the fact we have Markstrom for 2 more years now when he could have just waited and cut bait if his abysmal season continues? Doing that contract early was all risk and no reward. To some extent, I do think if Markey somehow went off and had a great year, like he may have been worth slightly more in the new cap era. But I do think, the timing of it was super odd. It's still too early to call it a bad deal. We have to wait and see. Right now it's trending in that direction, but it's way too early. The deal doesn't even start till next year. So way too early to call it a bad deal. I will certainly agree with the people that say the timing of it was weird because I think that's undeniable. I mean, a guy that's struggling a little bit coming off an injury, like I didn't see the need to rush it, but they felt the need to do it at that point for whatever reason. Arson, I don't know how to say this, but the fact that this team can't function without Jack should get a GM fired. One player should not make this much of a difference. I agree. I'm not going to say that a guy should get fired necessarily because of a team collapse with a player from one season, but when you've seen it time and time again, I think everyone just needs to have the painful realization that without some other big pieces brought in, the current core is not good enough to get it done. That's just a fact. They're not going to win a cup without something major coming in with them. And it's painful to say, but Jack is the real heartbeat of this team, and the team is pretty bad without him. Painfully bad. Kyle, I know he's a game changer, but really need an abundance of players, not just one-star D-man. We need grown men and centers. Completely agree. We need scritty guys. Get me physical, skilled, big players to get us away from the current identity, which is a losing identity, unfortunately. This is a man's league, very physical, very tough game, and our team just does not have the ability or the horses to win these types of games. And that Columbus one, and I'll keep referring back to it because that one really was discouraging to me, especially because I was there. That Columbus game, we blew a 2-0 lead and we got beat up. And it did feel like a soul-snatching loss, in my opinion. It was like everything just got sucked out of the team because we got bullied. And you need to get some guys that are going to bully back. And right now, Timo, in my opinion, is the only one who's really going to bully back in terms of forwards. Running with Woodson, Fitz landed Timo as a big fish. Local evening news. Family reunions are hell. The Devils dodged a bullet. Get your third line right and things will turn around after the Olympic break. Well, in my opinion, that starts with a true third line center. Again, Glass, I thought, has done decent in that spot, but ideally you want to make him your 4C and have a legitimate 3C. Definitely makes the team much better and prime for a playoff run. But talking about the playoffs right now, I feel almost like psychotic. But when you look at the standings, you know, we are right there. Like, let me see here. As bad as they've been, off of the strength of the early winning streak, Devils in 4th, 35 points. Still right there, but points percentage-wise, you look at it, we've played a game or two more than most teams. We're playing 565 points percentage hockey right now, and that's nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough in a division and a conference that is going to be very tight. I do think the playoffs, you know, some teams getting in the playoffs or not is probably going to come down to the last day of the season. And I think for some other teams, you know, the playoff seeding is going to come down to the last day. It's going to be a wild finish, I think, this season. But you look at the standings, it's super tight. Small margin for error. Buffalo in last place with 30 points. And first place is Carolina with 40 points. So only 10 points separating first and last, with everybody else kind of bunched up in the middle. There's still time to fix this thing. I believe. I still believe. But we need to see some changes. Not doing anything is not gonna be it. Clearly. Doing nothing is going to give us more of what we've seen the past couple of weeks. They might win a game or two. They could lose 3 or 4. It's just going to be an inconsistent group that's struggling to find points and may get lucky here and there. Jeremy Proper says Rossi's an overpay. Poor Billy G. Well, we're going to see. You can't call that today. We'll see how it plays out. If the Wild go on to win a cup, Billy Guerin becomes an instant legend. And he really went out on a limb on this one. Meanwhile, the Wild have 0 cups. Timu, not anymore. We're a loser franchise, the New Jersey Mets. Oh, boy. Rick Starr says, reckon we still get Quinn in 18 months? At this point, I don't know. I talked about this a couple minutes ago. Maybe it was before you came in here, but I don't think Billy Guerin would have sent that package if he didn't think he was going to be in it to sign him long term. I have to believe he thinks he has a chance. Now, you know, maybe they gave him the impression that he does have a chance and that Luke still doesn't sign there. But that's a big package to give up if you don't think you're going to sign him just for 2 years of rental. Ant Raccoon, how do you realistically offload Palat and Dougie before free agency? Either packaged in another deal, or you have to retain on them, or retention and or picks, prospects, whatever it is. Someone will take them if you make it enticing enough. You got to just be willing to make it enticing enough. At some point, you have to cut your losses and be like, this sucks that I have to pay this premium to get rid of this contract. But you got to do what you got to do. Brian said, I'd rather just pick up Quinn as an unrestricted free agent in 27. I don't know. I used to think that was kind of a foregone conclusion. Not anymore. I'm definitely more skeptical now. And again, if it never happens, so be it. I'm not dead set on that happening. You know, so much can change in 2 years, so I can't even answer right now. But at the moment, a guy like Quinn Hughes was the furthest thing from what the Devils absolutely needed. Nancy says it's absolutely absurd that Fitz is still employed. Pro Bowl, get rid of Markstrom as well, along with Fitz. Mark says, Mardik, Billy is in win now mode. Fitz should take notes. Yeah, these are win now moves. I mean, it doesn't get any more win now than that. Trading away a young, good center and a very young, good defenseman and a first rounder. And see, I keep forgetting the other piece. It's a lot to give up, especially if you're not going to sign him long term. That is the ultimate win now move. That is win now of the highest level. It doesn't get any more win now than that. That is the ultimate win now. Ice Cube, my iced tea. I do not want Stamkos. I see him play live all the time. He looks like he's just collecting a check. That may be the case right now, but you'd be surprised what a new city and a competitive team and new line mates can do for a guy like that. Maybe he is just going through the motions now. And obviously it's unfortunate. You don't want to see that. But, you know, what is Nashville playing for at this point? I mean, you have to be realistic. That happens with a lot of guys on bad teams throughout all different sports. It's like we're not playing in games that matter at this point. Like it kind of sucks, and sometimes it'll come off that way. David, if Quinn was never on our radar, I agree with Fitz not trading multiple pieces just to reunite all three brothers. I believe this was meant not to happen for the Devils. We would have given up so much. Yeah, I mean, listen, I have said on this channel, I'll be thrilled if we get him, but I'm not going to be crushed if we don't. And I do think we have more pressing needs. And so now maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Can this now springboard or be the catalyst for Fitz to make moves that this team really needs? Because there's plenty of them. John NJDevils says, what's up, Ace? Another wasted season of this core. I certainly hope not. The season's still very young. It's still very young, and there's still plenty of time to right the ship. I mean, you guys are typing a lot in here. Shout out to everybody with the blazing fast fingers here. I mean, this thing is just... The chat is flying here. I'm trying to skip ahead and get close to, you know, you guys know I fall behind because I talk a lot, but wow. Whitler says trade the so-called core reboot. I think we might be close to that point. Running with the Wooden says my Christmas wish is the Wild extending Quinn. I don't know. When is the earliest they could do it? That'd be crazy if that gets announced like the first day it could happen. The Kane, he has fumbled, not filling the hole of Jackhughes going down season after season at this rate. But here's the one thing I will say in sort of in his defense, not entirely in his defense, but it's not like he's the only guy on our team. And it's like, oh, obviously if he goes down, your team's screwed. Like there's a bunch of teams that, you know, don't have other or only have like one offensive threat or whatever. And it's like, okay, if they go down, clearly you're screwed. But that's not the case with the Devils. They have tons of guys that could score. And so when you look at them on paper, you say, okay, losing Jackhughes is a big loss, but it shouldn't result in what we've seen, you know, going on long losing streaks like this, getting shut out in back-to-back games at home. Like none of that should happen as a result of any one player going down. It really shouldn't. Natasha, RIP, heavier, edgier, more violent. It was a different time. Fentanyl Floyd, Fitz didn't get a goalie when it was a blatantly obvious need. Why do you all think he's getting an impactful center? At this point, I don't think he's going to get an impactful center. And again, I want to be wrong. I do think you'll see a center of some kind just because it's such a glaring need that he'll probably get some like fringe, you know, just more of a fourth line-ish kind of center and hope that it's an upgrade for the fourth line or potentially a third line if you could make yourself believe that he could be an improvement over Glass. I don't know. At this point, I don't know, but the team has needs, and I feel like it needs to happen quick because if we drop both of these two games this weekend, things are going to get extremely ugly in a hurry. Really ugly in a hurry. Satire salesman, if Fitz is fired, who do you think steps into the interim GM role? I don't really know at this point. Sadly, it probably would be somebody from his administration who should also be walked out of the building with him. If he does get fired, they should fire. It should be a complete cleansing, clean house. Everybody should be marched out with him. The perp walk. Out of the building. Sayonara. You guys have done enough damage. Outside of the great Martin Brodeur, obviously. And despite many other people disagreeing with me, in the unlikely event that Fitz is fired, I would offer the job to Marty in a heartbeat. And if he doesn't want it, then I go down my list of other guys, which would include Brendan Shanahan and then probably Brian Burke. But, I could see them. I can't see them getting rid of him, honestly. So it's hard for me to even wrap my head around any of the other stuff. The Kane, what should get him fired, is not properly dealing with the scenario happening. Jack going down has happened like 4 times now, and Fitz still hasn't addressed it. Yeah, the team just collapses without him. It's really unfortunate. Salvatore says we need Sherwood. He's definitely a guy I would like. I don't know what his salary expectations are going to be after his contract is up, but David, I'm honestly shocked. Most of the fans in here are pissed we didn't land Quinn. There were so many comments in the past 2 weeks about how many fans would have been pissed if we did trade for him. No, I mean, this was a very kind of polarizing subject in the fan base. There was tons of people who wanted him. There was tons of people who did not want him. I think most of the people who didn't want him, it was not that they didn't want him per se. It was more of along the lines of they didn't want him at the proposed packages that were floating out there. And some of them were like really insanely high, but a lot of people were a hard no on the Quinn Hughes trade if it involved Shimo Nemec. A lot of people were like, no, I will not trade Nemec no matter what. I do think that was a little silly. And listen, I love Nemo and I understand why people said that. But I do think if you're in a position to get a guy like Quinn, you cannot let a guy like Nemec be what holds it up. But again, this could all be a blessing in disguise for us. We have to see how it plays out. They now have more assets and pieces to try to improve this team in a meaningful way by addressing the holes that we have. And offensive defenseman like Quinn Hughes was not a hole. Jay Stowe says, who did Fitz really give up in that Timo trade? Zetterlund and picks. That wasn't a huge risk. Yeah, I've said this time and time again. Those are easy trades to make when you're just giving up a bunch of, just, I'm going to, for lack of a better term, I'm just going to call it spare parts, to just keep building value by way of just lots of picks and prospects, and you keep adding, and it's like, okay, we're giving you all this stuff, but it was nothing that really hurt to part with. The deal that Fitz needs to make is going to be one of those ones where you're dealing something away that hurts. Both you as the general manager and the fan base is like, ooh, like those are the deals that move you forward. And again, we could talk about the Lou Lamoriello deals over the years that played huge parts in Stanley Cup runs where he traded away fan favorites and very good players multiple times to improve a team. And a lot of those trades played big parts in Stanley Cup wins that may not have happened. Man. Jason says, Fitz has never taken a risk. He's always looking to win a trade. A lot of people have said that. And I will say a positive thing I can say about him is that he really hasn't made a bad trade. It's my knock and most people's knock on him is that he just doesn't make the trades. Like sometimes you have to make the tough trade, especially in season. The in-season inactivity has absolutely choked the life out of this team for 2 years in a row. And we're on the verge of seeing it for a third. And as crazy as it is, I would have never thought I would feel this way about this year's team in mid-December. But here we are with all the injuries and all the things surrounding them. Now, how does the missing out on Quinn Hughes thing affect? Well, I guess Jack's not going to be playing for a while anyway, so that might not have any impact. Does it impact Luke in any way? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm curious to know if they thought it was going to happen or if they thought it was kind of nonsense from the beginning. I'd be so curious to know where their head was leading up to this. Mark, there's still time to fix this, but that window is closing fast. Pro Bolt says, who would give up for Ryan O'Reilly? I like O'Reilly. Supposedly, I think they said Nashville was looking for a pick and a prospect. I do that right away. Nothing to think about on my end. I do that deal immediately. There's nothing you could do. It seems like a hefty payment, but you know what? If we don't win in the very near future with this team, they never will. And you'll be talking about what I always say. You'll be talking about potentially winning with Yegorov in net and Salayev in the year, 2030, 2031. Like that is going to be the window. And I think that's the window that Woodson refers to regularly. Like that's what you're talking about. You're not talking about winning with the guys that are here. You're talking about winning with maybe a few of the guys that are here and youngsters in the organization and potentially guys that aren't even drafted yet. So for me, I take the swing and hope that you connect. I'd rather take a swing and miss on a guy like O'Reilly than to stand pat and do nothing and go down with the ship. Still time, but the window's closing fast. We should just place ourselves on the wild card. What does that mean? We're going to get dog walked this weekend. Well, that's definitely a possibility. You'd have to imagine we have a chance of beating the Canucks, especially without Quinn Hughes. I mean, that would be what a low point that would be. What a low point that would be to lose to the Canucks, a Quinn Hughes-less Canucks team. The worst team in the league that just lost their best player by far. It's not a guaranteed win. They're going to be looking to, to come out of the funk or whatever they're going to be feeling in the aftermath of this deal. I would love to be a fly on the wall for how this all goes down. Where I don't even know where are the Canucks right now. Actually, I'd imagine if they're playing the Devils on Sunday, they're already in the area. Let me take a look at their schedule. They played the Sabres yesterday. Oh yeah, so they're out here. Do they play? No. That was a home game. Okay, so they might still be in Vancouver, actually, because they play Devils Sunday, Rangers Tuesday. So, yeah, they're probably still in Vancouver. They're probably coming to the tri-state area tomorrow. I'm sure there's a lot of emotional goodbyes as Quinn Hughes packs his bags for Minnesota to join the Wild. And Billy Guerin just putting it all out there on the line. What a ballsy trade. Unreal. Unreal stuff. M Sharp says Minnesota building, Devils are patching. At this point, I'd even take patching. We're not doing anything. We're not doing anything. Devils plugging holes. Are we even doing that? World's Worst Gamer, Devils will come out with a new jersey soon to distract people from the actual on-ice product. At this point, I don't think there's anything that will distract people from the on-ice product. You could try to do whatever you want, but in the end, people are very aware of what's happening, and it's a painful time. Nolan says, Ace hates me. What? I don't hate you. Why would you say that? Natasha says, Fitz big trade deadline move this season is going to be to trade for Eric Halla. Oh, God. DMBS, Quinn is a difference maker, but I'm not sure that he is what pushes the Devils over the edge to cup contenders. He didn't bring the grit and toughness that we need to get past Florida and Carolina. So here's the thing. I think we need plenty of grit and toughness to get past Florida and Carolina, but I'm not relying on a guy like Quinn Hughes to do it. Let Quinn Hughes do what Quinn Hughes is supposed to do. Obviously, Quinn Hughes is not here, so, whether we're talking about Lukehughes or whatever, let those guys do their role and let the guys that are supposed to bring the grit and toughness bring that grit and toughness. Not every guy is going to bring it, just like not every guy is going to score goals. Everybody has their job or jobs within the confines of the overall machine of the team. Let them do that. I'm certainly not going to be asking Quinn Hughes to bring grit and toughness. Now, do I want him to be a complete pushover? No. But grit and toughness will come from other guys in the lineup. And that's how any good lineup is based. You have guys that have different roles and they do different things. Jay Snow says the core is not good enough. Mark, outside of Timo, which was a no-brainer, Fitz has not made any good trades. At the time, again, I don't like to use hindsight. I like the Toffoli trade. That was a super win-now move, in my opinion. Right after that 22-23 season, he's like, okay, let me get a goal scorer. A guy, after we moved on from him when it didn't pan out during that 23-24 season, a guy that was never replaced in the top six. Now, if I knew the options were overpay Toffoli, or maybe not overpay, but pay him what he wanted, which was more than the Devils were comfortable with at the time. If I knew the options were pay that money or let him go and then don't get another top six guy, I would have certainly picked to keep Toffoli, because I certainly thought once he was not re-signed that Fitz would have used the money that would have went to Toffoli to sign another top six guy. It never happened. The money got spent elsewhere, and here we are still in conjunction with talking about a 3C, talking about having a nice scoring winger would be nice as well. I do think that has been de-emphasized a bit with the emergence of Dawson Mercer and Arseny Gritsuk this season, because I do think Mercer on the wing is a legit top six guy now, as he's shown before he had to play center when Jack went down. And Grits is a top six guy too. I do like Grits better in the bottom six. I think he gives us that more balanced attack like I've talked about. When he's in the top six, on some nights, the bottom six did not really function as good without him. And so I think he's a perfect third line guy for this team. But we need improvements, guys. We certainly need improvements. Cape Dweller, the Hughes brothers could all end up in Minnesota. They've thrown money at players before, Parisi and Sutter. Yeah, I mean, wow. Imagine Guerin's calling Fitz right now. He's like, so what do I got to do to get the other two? Does Minnesota even have anything left to trade? Adam, listen to the post-trade deadline from Fitz last season. Last trade deadline, a lot of waiting. We tried assets, blah, blah, blah. He does have the ability to make deals happen and pull the trigger. Pro Bowl, I'd give up Bratt and another player and a first for Tage Thompson. I'd give up a lot for Tage Thompson. I think he would be one of the best guys league-wide to potentially get if possible. But I don't think it is. I think it's a pipe dream. But I'm going to live out some pipe dreams vocally with you. But I'll always tell you that it's a pipe dream. I will never do the clickbaity stuff where I talk about stuff as if it's rooted in a chance of happening if it's crazy. And that's crazy talk. Turco, my man, over 200 people watching and under 100 likes. Hit the like button, you filthy animals. Hit the button for your boy. How about that? John Fay, hit the button. Hit the like. Okay, so July 1st is as soon as it could extend. Oh, man. Are people going to get hit with the Quinn or all the pro Quinn crowd going to get hit with a second wave of devastation if they announce that deal the day that they're allowed to? Did Markey actually say that? Didn't he say bad? Why are you asking if I'm hurt because I'm playing like shit? Is that a verbatim quote? I watched it, but I don't recall him saying that. Jersey 61, we need more junkyard dogs. Devils way too soft and uninspiring. Completely agree. And I've been talking about this for a very long time. There's been lots of other people talking about this, and people on the opposite side of the conversation or argument, whatever you want to call it, have said that we're dinosaurs and we're old and you don't get it and blah, blah, you're living in the past. There's no living in the past. Hockey is a violent, physical sport. And to some extent, Tom Fitzgerald realizes that. And that's the most disappointing thing I think about him for me is that he played in that league. He's a player. He played in an era where it was like prison rules, essentially. Guy, the roughest of the rough. He played in that league. And so for him to either have been convinced by his analytics, math nerds, or whoever else is around him, for him to have been convinced that it is so de-emphasized now that you don't need it and can virtually completely ignore it, because let's be real, outside of Timo, you have no one that brings that element to this team. To believe that it's so de-emphasized that you could assemble a core that is overall as soft as this Devils core is and think you're going to go far, I think is a fool's errand. I really do. And it's shame on him. He played in this league. I think he's been, maybe he is beaten down by the analytics people. I have no idea. But I will tell you the over-reliance on the analytics is terrible, and it's what built this core that everyone now is questioning. This core is brought to you by analytics, my friends. And this whole team is the birth child of analytics, period. Adam says, who did Billy learn from? Lou. Yeah, he was schooled by Lou. And then he obviously was with Pittsburgh for a while, and he was with Ray Shero. Rest in peace, Ray Shero. Actually was just announced as the Lester. I always mess this up. It's Lester Patrick. Okay. Yeah, they just named him a Lester Patrick Trophy winner. And Billy G probably learned a lot from him as well there. Taking notes. The student now becoming the master. Also, GM of USA Hockey. Man, I can't wait to see that team. And that might be, folks, if this Devils season does go up in flames, as it currently seems like, the only other saving grace I'm going to have until next October, and October is so far away, guys, I can't believe I'm already thinking about, we might be in a world where we're looking forward to next season again. And I hope it doesn't happen. I hope they get this thing fixed. But in terms of hockey this year, the Olympics and Team USA might be my only saving grace. Jay Snow, we're a soft perimeter team, unfortunately. Completely agree with you. Brian, we came in second. It's Friday and no changes have been made. Ace not firing acceptable. Fitzy is failing again. I agree. The Kane, that is part of the frustration as well. They're performing like they are a one-player team. Turco, Fitz will make a trade that will only be slightly above the bare minimum needed. I mean, if we're talking about like another, Sprong type deal, like sadly, I think that's the favored outcome. Like he'll make some sort of deal, but it'll be insignificant and will not move the needle, unfortunately. How the hell did Fitz get this job in the first place? I'm going to say right place at the right time. He probably interviewed well, and maybe he said he was along for the analytics journey. I don't know. But I do believe that analytics has a lot of blood on their hands for the creation of this very, very, very flawed roster. Ride and respect. I can't wait for a rep to call me asking to re-up next season so that I can tell them to F off. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot. They've been, from a lot of people I've talked to, and I've seen the things they've been texting, emailing, calling. They're certainly trying to move some tickets. And the product that they're icing right now is not very inspiring. It's definitely not encouraging most people to go buy tickets that are very expensive. And I talked about this, and I take this very seriously. I am fortunate enough economically to be able to go to a good amount of games. I'm not rich or anything like that, but I am a single dude. I do not have children. I do not have any of those sort of financial responsibilities. And I don't have many other hobbies that cost money outside of hockey stuff. I do like to go to comedy shows, and once in a while go to dinner or a concert, but I don't have any ongoing hobbies that cost a lot of money. Like I don't play golf. I have some golfer friends that pay a fortune to go play golf and the equipment. I don't do all these things that cost a lot of money. And so a lot of my, discretionary income is spent on hockey related things. And so as a single guy, again, I don't have all these family expenses. I don't have to pay for a whole family to go to the game, just myself. And so I'm able to go to a lot of games, and I am very thankful and fortunate to be in that situation. A lot of people with families, especially in these economic times in 2025, with everything crazy expensive and everything just kind of a strain on a lot of folks, hockey tickets are not cheap. And when you factor in the gas and the tolls and the parking and the popcorn and the this and the that, and Johnny wants a hat, and now the poor dad is like, I'm in the hole for $600 for a family of 4. I got 2 kids and a wife. I'm in the hole for $600 to go to this game. And imagine being that guy who doesn't have a ton of money and maybe could only bring his family to a game or 2 per season, and had planned from months ago to go see on a Thursday night the New Jersey Devils play the Tampa Bay Lightning. And they went to see the train wreck that was the game last night, where the team gets waxed 8-4, looks completely lifeless, and the energy was just never in the building to begin with. Imagine being that guy. And so it's going to be a wake-up call, I think, for the team. I think there's going to be a lot of very thin crowds coming up. I think they might get lucky these next 2 games because it is a weekend, and that is always a highly attended one for the kids. A lot of parents don't like bringing the kids out late at night during the week, and they got school and blah, blah, blah. So they'll always target those weekday games, and especially the afternoon matinees. So that's like a dream for parents of young children, both the Saturday and Sunday game, afternoon games. And so you'll see a ton of kids there. So those might not be that empty. But once you start getting back to the weeknight games, especially against like some less than stellar opponents, if this team is playing anywhere near the way they are right now, and there's no moves made and there's nothing whatsoever done to excite this fan base or give them sort of any sort of hope in any way, you're going to see some thin crowds, and they're going to start texting and emailing a lot more. And a lot of these messages are going straight into the void because people do not want to spend their hard-earned money on a garbage product. And right now, unfortunately, without Jackhughes, this team has showed over the past couple of weeks that they are a garbage product. And that is the unfortunate reality. Louis says, I have seen nothing from Marty that makes me think he would be a good GM. Well, Louis, I don't know what you would want to see until someone is a GM. How could they show that to you? What would you have liked to have seen? Until the person has the opportunity, what are you going to say? Oh, the goalies. I'm curious to see what your rebuttal is, but I'm not exactly sure what you were looking for to feel confident in him to get the job. I'll tell you what I saw from Marty, a guy who played at the highest level of the sport and won every single thing there is to win for years and years, and has been under the tutelage of guys like Lou Lamoriello and has all sorts of other hockey executive friends I'm sure that he talks to regularly. He's been part of some highly decorated Team Canada teams with crazy executives. He's been everywhere. He's seen everything. He understands the game. I firmly believe that he understands that this current team is charm and soft and would have been completely battered off the ice by virtually, forget Stanley Cup teams, virtually any New Jersey Devils team. Any New Jersey Devils team from any year in his career, I would put up against this current New Jersey Devils club in that department. Now, maybe they would be outmatched skill-wise against a healthy version of this team, but I promise you, almost every Devils team he's ever played on throughout his illustrious career was much tougher and much more difficult to play against than this current New Jersey Devils club, because it's a walk in the park for the opposition on most nights. Nothing to worry about, no fears whatsoever. And now I continue to skip ahead. Shout out to everybody who's here. I'm spitting everywhere. I'm fired up. What a night. What an absolute night. Ginger says, Chuck Fletcher not getting enough hate. I've seen some other people talking about this as well. I do think all these people are just kind of there in the background as like a sounding board. I'm sure they give their opinions and whatever else. But in the end, how are you going to blame Chuck Fletcher? He wasn't here last year or the year before when Fitz had his hands in his pockets and watched the team melt down. So why would you blame Chuck Fletcher now? I can't do that. Fitz doesn't need any help to do what he does. DMB Ace, what I meant, they need the assets and cap space to get those skilled bigger players. Hughes would take a lot of that space and those assets. That's sort of what I meant. I don't even remember what your first comment was. But yeah, all the things we did not use and the money that would have been spent on Quinn Hughes is now available to spend in a better fashion, which would be getting forward help. Period. Southside Johnny, what scares me is how Fitz reacts. He signed Plot 30 minutes after he lost out on Johnny Hockey, and we're still paying for that one. Yeah, that's proving to be a bad contract. Certainly. Certainly a bad contract. It is an anchor kind of weighing the Devils down right now. And maybe they're just going to have to live with it. Maybe there's no way out for the Devils. Again, I find that hard to believe. I do think there is paths to figure it out. But maybe it is this special situation that's so dire that you cannot get someone to take that on. Chris, McDavid is asking for a trade. Oh, my God. These are ridiculous hypotheticals. What's your thoughts? Nemitz and Jack for McDavid? That, first of all, McDavid's not going to get traded. But I'll entertain this nonsense for a second because we are having nonsense conversations amidst real conversations here. Nemitz and Jack would be nowhere near enough. You would have to keep adding and adding and adding, but I'm not wasting any more time on this. FGHY8, why can't the analytics guys find another Tatar for the top 6? I can't believe we don't have talent to elevate a guy. If they can't, then they're not a good core. Plot sucking up $6 million in cap, not helping. Well, the analytics guys found you Juho Lamico in Switzerland. That's what they found. They went deep diving and they found a secret weapon that no one else in the league knew about. He was top secret. He was in Switzerland for 3 years, and he was signed to be our 4C coming into the season. Had he not been injured in, I forget if it was preseason or camp or when the hell he got injured. If he was not injured, he would have been on our opening day lineup as 4C. He was injured, so then the Devils had to pivot, and they signed Glendening. They signed him to a contract from his PTO. And Glendenning's a little bit of a dog. I'm not going to lie. I do like Glendening. Obviously underwhelming in terms of offensive production, but he has that dog in him. He wins battles on the wall. He's okay at faceoffs. But ideally, you would like to see that position upgraded if this team truly wants to win. If they truly want to win. Salvatore, get Pandolfo, Madden behind the bench. They can instill that dog mentality into the team. I believe so. I'm, again, always a sucker for guys from the Cup years. But, again, these are guys that are rich with experience in this very organization as well as other ones and have won. I do think Jay Pandolfo is going to stay put at BU for quite some time. That is his dream job. He's living his dream right now. Maybe at some point after he hopefully delivers a national championship to BU, then maybe he starts to kind of set his sights on becoming an NHL head coach. But, we will see. Bobby, thank you for the super. I'm behind, guys. My screen's going crazy. I got all kinds of things. My phone's blown up. Bobby, Ace, I love all that you do for us, but you are really going out on a limb if you think Fitz can come through on a big trade to save the team. Listen, guys, I could just hope, right? I'm not saying I'm predicting him to do it. I'm hoping that he does. And I do think collectively as a fan base and as media, outside, or whatever you want to call everything that's going on online right now, the organization certainly sees a lot of this stuff and hears the chatter. And clearly the fan base is irate. And different media outlets are kind of talking about it. And so this is all out there in the global webosphere. The Devils are being talked about, and all eyes are on them right now to see what they're going to do. And especially now that the Quinn Hughes thing went down, the Devils came in second or whatever place they came in. So now I think the microscope's on them even more. And with the team struggling, it could finally be the swift kick in the arse that this administration needs to make some sort of change. Whether that's a big splash or more of a little subtle splash, something must be done. And I'm not saying he is going to do it, but I do think that the Quinn deal was holding up any other moves they were thinking about. And so now that the Quinn deal has been done and he is going to Minnesota, I think that now kind of expedites the timeline of them trying to make other moves. Bobby, no more supers for you. Skip my last. I didn't skip it. I'm behind, man. I'm behind. Oh, man. Wild. Some wild stuff. What a wild Friday night, folks. I'm going to go need to get the bottle in a minute. I mean, what an emotional roller coaster. Salvatore says, be nice to the reps. They aren't the GM, although they would probably be better than what we have. Yeah, I feel bad for the reps. They're in a tough position right now. They're trying to push a product that is not highly in demand, and you're pushing it to a fan base that is somewhat irritable, or at least most people are, right? A lot of people, again, there's different levels of fans, and shout out to all you guys. You guys are somewhat bigger or deeper or whatever you want to call it, more engaged, more involved fans. If you are sitting here watching this live right now, you are way more into all of this than the average fan sitting at a Devils game, because the majority of them are not doing this. They're doing whatever. And a lot of them, like I've talked about before, hockey's a nice distraction. It's a nice night out. We go Devils. They win, they lose. Doesn't matter. They go home. Life goes on, and they don't think about it again until the next time they maybe flip on the game for a little bit on television, or they're, loading up the minivan with the kids to go to another game. And then again, there's the sick people like us. And if you're here, you're sick. You're sick to some level. And I mean that in the most endearing, loving way. If you are in this room right now, you are sick. And for us sick people, our emotions, physical well-being, mental well-being, a lot of times is somewhat tied to this team. And we all go on this roller coaster of emotions, up and down with the club, whether it's, winning and losing, missing out on a free agent, whatever it is. We are invested. And I know a lot of you are invested as well, and, to varying degrees again, but I'm here sitting here talking about this, getting fired up, and we're just invested as a fan base. And right now we want better for our team. We really do. We've seen the same thing the past couple seasons, and we want to see this team go on a deep run. And as it stands right now, there's been nothing encouraging whatsoever in the past couple weeks to make us believe that is reality. Mia, maybe this will help the team since Quinn is traded to the Wild so the players can relax. It's possible. I don't think that, I'm not going to use that as an excuse for why the team was playing so poorly, because I think in reality, there's only a few guys that could have thought they were part of the deal. And one of them was still playing lights out. Shout out to Nemo. But anything's a possibility. These guys are only human, and I'm sure they've all kind of heard the rumblings of the trades and all that. Ted, at what point will they look to see what Fitzgerald is not doing in the side? We need a real hockey GM here. Would love one. I have gone to games alone. I've gone to games alone. I've gone to concerts alone. I've went on trips alone. I've also done all those things with a friend or multiple friends. But I certainly have gone to a bunch alone for sure. Richard, coming in late here, didn't read previous comments, but while this sucks, it's maybe the best thing to happen in the organization wakes up. Fresh eyes needed, new culture and identity. Completely agree. Ride and respect. I don't have those responsibilities either, and it makes me even more happy to tell them to piss off, knowing full well that I could re-up, and they know that, and not doing it will hit like crack. Yeah, I mean, you're petty, and I like it. I'm here for your pettiness, Ride and respect. But yeah, if I had, a ticket package at this point, I probably would not be renewing. And I did have season tickets for a few years ago, and for a myriad of reasons that I'm not going to get into today or right now, decided it wasn't really worth the headache or money anymore. And so I've ever since have adopted the buy the games I want to go to, and it's a much easier and less stressful experience for me. Half Naked Frankenstein is Fitz punting on the season. Are we sellers again with no one we could sell? Nico could walk with no ability to trade him. We still got some time. Again, big question mark. I brought this up months ago. People told me I was crazy, that he was a lifer here, that he was going nowhere, that he was going to sign here long-term. And here we are a couple short months later, people talking about including him in trading packages, people talking about, is he going to sign here? Do we want to sign him? Is he worth the money? And I've seen the whole span of the gamut in terms of Nico stuff. And that's a big question mark. Does he think we can win here? Does he want to be here? And like I said 3 months ago, I think his willingness to re-sign here is going to depend a lot on how this season and potentially even next season goes. And so far, you guys let me know how you think that's going in terms of the realistic outlook of the Devils winning a cup. I don't know. I just don't know. Crazy Alex, I'm lucky enough to be able to go to games too, but I'm not going to waste my time. The most valuable thing. So the only thing I'll differ there is even if I'm not going to go to the game, I will never not watch. And so the time invested is the same for me. I guess you could add in, call it 50 minutes or so of travel time would be extra wasted time in going to the game versus staying at home. But I'm still going to devote that 2.5, 3 hours of the actual game, whether I'm watching it on my couch or at the arena, I'm still going to watch it no matter what. I will always watch, and for life, that will be the case. But sometimes I'm going to take the route of, because of what's going on and everything, I am not going to waste my hard-earned money to pay to go see this and the aggravation of driving to the arena and all the stuff. And I'll just enjoy some snacks and beverages from the comfort of my own couch versus going to the arena. It's better for my diet as well. Much easier to eat healthy at home than at the game. Ray Rage, to be honest, other teams like Detroit also had better packages, so I'm not even mad about Quinn. I'm more upset that we still didn't even get to the point where we moved contracts to bring anyone. Yeah, I mean, maybe we see. Maybe we see some dominoes start to fall now. M Sharp, agree on financials hitting hard this year. Ace, my auto insurance practically doubled for no reason. That's crazy. I'm not gonna Winnie. I don't think I can handle no moves or another strong move this season. Tired of being disappointed by Fitz, and I guess it's feel bad for the core when he doesn't make actual moves to improve in season. Salvatore, the ticket reps probably hate this news more than anyone, knowing they're going to catch. Shh. We need multiple moves before New Year's. Oh boy, you really are a wild dog. I think you're setting yourself up for severe failure. I think the name of the game here is to manage your own expectations. And I don't know that you're going to see multiple moves before New Year's. You're talking about New Year's is in 2.5 weeks. That's coming pretty soon. Brennan plays, I would never hire Marty because if he turns into disaster, I could never fire Marty. A lot of people have said that, but you know what? I'm willing to take that gamble. I really am. Print Duckling, I don't believe Marty had an agent as well. He negotiated everything. He did for his first contract or two, and then he did fire his agent. And negotiate his own contracts. E-learns are, I refuse to buy anything Devils related now that this ownership profits from until I see an actual commitment to wanting to win. Well, you might be saving a lot of money then. Louis, Marty isn't even an assistant general manager. He's in business development or something. How many great players go on to make shit coaches? Just because you are a good player doesn't mean you'd be a good exec. Of course it doesn't. But I'll take my chance. Versus what? Going to get one of these analytics people that don't know shit about hockey? Do you think that's a better thing? An analytics person who came from God knows what planet or what industry they were in, that they're these number cruncher data set people, right? Who didn't know anything about hockey. And now analytics has come into the hockey world. And now all of a sudden they're experts and they're going to be building your team. So you rather one of these people that don't know anything about hockey, but they're numbers people. They're numbers people and they're smart. They know analytics. You want someone like that running the organization over a all-time great like Martin Brodeur? I will take Marty over these people 1,000 times out of 1,000, and I don't need him to be an assistant general manager before giving him a chance. Period. And the coaches thing, again, fair point, but that's coaching. I do think for a guy like Marty, it would probably, and many other guys, it would probably be easier to be a general manager than a coach. Very different positions. Very different positions, but I do think as a GM, Marty would quickly be able to assess everything that's broken and what's lacking from a given roster and do his best with the help of the other people and in conjunction with the number crunchers in the math room, shout out to the math team, to look for the pieces to bring in that they need to fix the problems. John Fay, per Michael Russo, Quinn Hughes has not given the Wild any assurances that he will sign an extension. Wow. Still on. That's Billy G just doing big time things. Billy G with no inclination of a deal, hoping for the best. But you know what? I could see Billy G potentially getting him to sign there. I wouldn't be shocked, but what an even more ballsy win now move. This guy traded all those pieces without even knowing he could sign them. That's how you win. That is trying to win now, my friends. Bill Guerin just showed the whole world. You want to win now? You put out a package like that for a guy for 2 years. It could be a 2-year rental with no extension. Could you believe it? The balls on Bill Guerin, and that's how you try to win now at the highest level. That is the most excessive example of trying to seize victory and winning while it's there for the taking. And he literally just traded a package that an equivalent one for the Devils would have had some people quivering in their boots. Even with the extension, people didn't want to pay that price. Think about that. Devils fans did not want to pay the equivalent package, and that's with the assumption Quinn Hughes was going to sign long-term. They did not want to pay it because they want to talk about how many picks and prospects we have in the draft and the farm and all this bullshit that goes to how bright the future is, instead of talking about the years that we're watching in the rearview mirror, ticking off of a core that should have been in contention mode the entire time since 22-23. Since 22-23, wow, Bill Guerin, what a legend. He was already a legend to me, and his status just took another notch up. What an unbelievable guy. Showing everyone what it means to win now. Every GM in the league, take out your notepad. Obviously, I'm not talking to you, Bill Zito. You are already a win now legend. There should be a statue of him outside the Panthers arena as well. I'm trying to skip ahead here, guys. So pardon me. I'm trying to get to as many of your comments as possible. I'm jumping all over the place and trying to catch up. So I'm going off on tangents here, but I'm fired up. I mean, what a win now move. That is winning now at the highest level. Robbie's Benchloss says the answer's in the room. I disagree. Right now, I think I don't even know what's going on inside that room, but I can tell you we're seeing more of the same play out in real time. I am over it. All of the hard questions should be asked. Hard decisions should be made. And in the end, I don't think, unfortunately, that Fitzy should be the one in charge of this, because we've seen what's happened the past 2 years. Washed up 24. Some optimism. We no longer have to landlock of thinking to save picks pieces of trade for Quinn. We never needed Quinn. Media and that bozo GM got the expectations up for no reason. No, I agree. I maintained the same point from the beginning. I said, listen, I would like Quinn if we got him. Bear with me 1 second. Looking at something here. It is crazy to me, though. It just shows that is a win now move. Again, most of our fan base, or at least a lot of them, the ones I'm talking about are the ones that were against the hefty package that I was going to take to get him. It was pretty much assumed that if the Devils did get him, he would sign the extension. And even knowing that you would have Quinn Hughes for these 2 years, then a long-term extension, they did not want to pay the price, the comparable price that Billy G paid. And he paid it at the moment for strictly a 2-year rental with no guarantee of an extension. That is phenomenal. That should just show you the difference between loser mentality and win now. It is so starkly different. And this was a glaring example. NJ Devils, we want the cup. I'll probably get a girlfriend before Fitz gets fired. I guess that means you're not very likely to get a girlfriend. It's an interesting one. My Bop 36. Just joining, do we know if Mimo was offered in a deal for Quinn, or was that too high of a price? We don't know anything. It's all speculation. Washed up. In what world is Marty not using analytics? Bro, you are lost. No offense. I'm not saying he's not using them. I'm saying he's not going to live or die with them. Period. He's not going to live or die with them. Right now, this organization is ran off analytics. Washed up. You're slandering Marty is crazy. And you even said yourself, analytics is running the shit show. Exactly. We need something different. A de-emphasis on analytics and more emphasis on guys that know what it takes to build a winning team. Not some computer dorks. I'm sorry. That's what got us here. Fitz needs to go and take the analytics with him. Now, listen, just to clarify, because then people are going to be like, oh, he says analytics are junk. I'm not saying that. Analytics certainly have their place. Absolutely. I do think it should just be a small piece of the overall pie of assessing players and building rosters and all these things. It should not be the end-all be-all. And while I have no proof that it is, there's plenty of proof to suggest that this ownership group is in love with analytics, and it plays a massive role in all of the teams that they own. I want it de-emphasized. I'm not suggesting to get rid of it. I'm not saying it's completely useless, but it should not be the main driving factor of your on ice, on court, on field personnel decisions. It should not be. Now, can teams get lucky and could it play out for them at work? Sure, it could. But I will take my chances after seeing what it's done to this very team. Because guess what, guys? Analytics didn't even exist when Lou was here. And guess what? He knew how to build a winner. And he built winner after winner. Teams that won divisions, teams that won conference championships, and ultimately 3 teams that saw the top of that mountain. 3 Stanley Cup championship teams, and they did not have an analytics department because it was a pre-analytics world. And so I'm sorry, but I am firmly against the overemphasis and reliance on said analytics. Select the boy, exactly, Ace. Analytics ain't shit. Look at the Panthers before the cup runs. They didn't get anywhere with analytics. I do believe they are a very analytic-driven team now, Select the boy. But with that being said, when you look at their team, there's tons of guys that are just dogs and guys that non-analytics guys would flock to, in my opinion. But they have mentioned analytics, and so I do know the pro analytics crowd will recite that constantly because that was brought up in an interview with somebody, whether it was, I think it was Zito and maybe somebody else. Like, they are a super analytics team. But, you know, then I guess the analytics favorably painted the picture of all the dogs that they have. Jason says, I don't want a first-time front office guy taking over. I mean, I could see that. Right and respect, analytics are fine, but you don't build or structure a team based solely on that. I agree. Completely agree. Job of the Huts, it's time to trade a top 10 pick for a 35-year-old now. Select the boy. To be fair, analytics is somewhat helpful, but it's not the end-all, be-all when you have zero hockey experience. That's why I agree. I want a hockey guy, period. I will always take the eye test over analytics as well. I will use the analytics, but I'm not living or dying with them. I'm not. I want hockey minds in hockey positions, not number crunchers that came from somewhere else. I'm sorry. It's psychotic to me. Devils 13, do you really think Billy G doesn't know how this will play out? He's signing in Minnesota, no doubt at all. So I guess you probably came here just recently. Earlier on, I said, before someone posted what they wrote about Billy G not having any assurances, I said I would be shocked if Billy G paid that price without having some sort of indication that he had a good chance to sign him, because that is very expensive for a pure 2-year rental. But now they're claiming that he was not told he's going to sign. So here you have it. Billy G just going all out. Mardik, time for the chance to get his chance. I would like to see that. Salvatore, Guerin is banking on the product speaks for itself and convincing him to resign. Devils can't say our product is convincing to make anyone want to sign long-term. I sort of agree with that, but Quinn Hughes, obviously a different animal with his brothers here. I do think if he came here, he was obviously going to sign long-term. I think that's kind of a foregone conclusion. Richard, Billy G rolling the dice and knows this might backfire, but has the onions to go for it. I'm betting on myself and trying to bring the cup to Minnesota. I love it. Yeah, that's a win now move. Win now. Pohadios, I'm not upset we didn't get Hughes. I'm upset because Fitz would never take that kind of risk to win. I completely agree. A lot of people have pointed out he's risk averse. He won't make a risky move, and it's all true. What is the risky move? I'm sorry, but his biggest deal, Timo Meier, there was no risk involved. To me, that was a layup. You just give just keep adding picks and these prospects and blah, blah, blah. No big roster impact players. Nothing of true significance going the other way. Easy deal to make. The best deals are the ones that do have some level of risk and may blow up in your face. But I will take a guy who's willing to put it on the line and take that chance versus doing nothing, because doing nothing is a guaranteed fail. We know this already. We've seen it the past couple seasons. We know how the movie ends, and we're all watching it right now. Jason said, Friedman saying we can't get any deals done because they're having a hard time shedding salary. And then there you have it. Another Fitz-inflicted wound. Unable to get off of the Palat and Dougie contracts, cap-strapped, and here we are. Couldn't make a deal because he painted himself in a corner. I mean, it is what it is. Top Jimmy, I don't think Quinn is ever coming here. I agree with Ace. I think Jack and Luke will want to go to Minnesota if Quinn resigns there. And if at that point that happens, then you entertain it. I mean, it is what it is. This has all just become such a saga. Neil says, if Quinn resigns, then have to trade Jack and Luke for Boldy and Faber. Now all 3 Hughes can play together. I mean, that's so far away. And again, I don't think it's going to happen. I just think that the Hughes reunion doesn't happen at any point until they're much older. I do think there is a very good chance Jack will be here long term, but, you know, I can't even get my head to the future that far ahead about, potentially trading him to Minnesota. It's just wild stuff. Jeremy Proper says, Marty had the best seat in the house for 2 years. I think he knows how to evaluate talent. I'm going to go with that as well. For sure. Brian, our biggest in-season acquisition will be Jack Pesci and Covey next month. Ray Rage, I know you've talked about this before, but do you think this is officially time to move a core piece, especially if this trade starts a frenzy? Yes. I've seen enough. I think the core is broken, unfortunately. Let me rewind it back. I would give them one more season if, and only if, they were able to bring in the pieces we need from the outside that could supplement them. And just with the cap space and everything, yeah, no, it's not possible. I'm there. I've been there for a while. And by a while, I mean like all of a week. The core is broken and you must shake it up. Something must give. This to go into or at least to try to even make the playoffs with this group as is. They've shown enough to me as of late to know that we are watching the same thing again. Despite Fitz's failures in this season and previous ones, there's just no excuse for them to play so poorly without Jackhughes. And so for that reason, I'm making the earth-shattering trade. What that is, I don't know, but I'm certainly making an earth-shattering trade. Jason, the Devils offered Bratt and Nemitz in a first. I think that's a better package. Wait, what? The Devils offered Bratt in the Quinn trade? Yeah, I need to see that confirmed somewhere. David Ace, I just read according to a TSN report, the Canucks passed on the Devils offer because we didn't include Hischier in the package. I mean, again, center depth is a need for the Devils. We need to add centers, not trade them. So I do think it would have been crazy. And I think tons of people would have lost their minds if Nico was traded in a deal for Quinn Hughes. Now, if there's another trade to be made that involves a center, I'm not looking to trade Nico Hischier. I love Nico Hischier. You guys know that. I love Nico Hischier, Warrior. But if there's a trade, and I've always said everybody is potentially tradable if the deal makes the team better. If there's a trade or a series of trades where Nico is possibly shipped out and another center is brought in, I wouldn't be against trading him if it was the right deal and it improved the team. But to trade him in a deal for Quinn Hughes would have been absolute lunacy, and I think people would have went into a complete meltdown. Bungie says, Jack seems to love this organization. Luke, I could see sticking around for another extension. Hughes reunion going to happen on like the Red Wings in 15 years. And thanks for streaming for 2 hours. It's been great. We've already been on here for that long, man. Time flies when you're talking hockey, folks, or at least on some nights. Ride and respect is broken for sure. Need new blood. No more reasons. Can't stay healthy, and then we're right back here. Top Jimmy, if Fitz allows his team to implode this year without making any moves, Jack will want to bounce. Maybe. But to your point, that is the primary reason why a few months ago I said that I did not think Nico Hischier signing here long-term was a given, because he has seen how this movie has played out the past few years. That guy wants to win a Stanley Cup. And so for a guy that will have tons of options in free agency, what would behoove him to sign here now, other than signing a little earlier, to sign when he's eligible to sign the extension here for a team that has so many question marks and a very unpleasant past few seasons? If he wants to win a cup, he will have tons of options. Tons of teams will back up the truck for him. Salvatore Ace, which core piece do you move first if you had to make that choice, and what return would you look for? Unfortunately, due to process of elimination, and again, I love all these guys, so I'll always preface it with that. I love all the guys and wanted them all to be part of a New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup championship team. With that being said, they're not going to trade Jack. So that's out of the question. Nico is a center, so that makes him, again, unless he's being traded for another center or there's another deal for a center, it makes him very valuable and obviously a great 200-foot player. Two-way centers like him don't pop up too often, and so that makes him a little extra valuable, in my opinion, when you're looking at this whole thing. And then Timo's our only bull in the top six, and so by process of elimination, that only leaves you with the Bratter. And I love the Bratter, and I will probably shed some tears if and when he's ever traded. But by process of elimination, it makes him the odd man out, in my opinion, if you're talking about shaking up this core. And I would look to trade him for a forward, another winger that's more physical and gritty. Maybe he doesn't produce the same amount of points, but somebody who could definitely score and can produce some offense. It doesn't have to be to the level of Bratter, but brings that real grit, nastiness, and will to win. That will go to the crease, knock over the goalie, punch someone in the mouth. We need a guy like that. And so if I was to do one of these kind of earth-shattering trades, it would be moving on from Bratter to bring in somebody who brings in the sandpaper grit element that this team so desperately needs. Jeremy Proper, if Jack and Luke can convince Fitz that Quinn will sign, trade for Tage ASAP. I would love it. I would love Tage. He's high on my want list, my pipe dream want list. NJ Devils, we want the cup. Nico Dawes not starting goalie on this team at this point is a crime, by the way. I do think eventually at some point we may see him get a couple games. Fitz didn't move off the contracts in the summer. That's why I thought we weren't getting Quinn and our money situation is messed up. I thought he was going to be able to do it, honestly. But, you know, maybe both of those guys are here till the end of the season. John Fay, then again, who knows who you guys may sign besides Quinn Hughes. As I told Ace, Michael Russo stated, Quinn did not give the Wild any assurance that he will sign an extension, which makes it an even ballsier move by Billy Guerin. Credit to him. That is win now. Top Jimmy says, with Quinn off the table, Fitz will now panic and trade Bratt and Nemitz to Nashville for O'Reilly and Stamkos. There's no chance. Zero chance he does that. Let's not get crazy. And I said it before, my biggest criticism of Fitz is not making trades and watching it all burn down, not making bad trades. And that would certainly be a bad trade. I could not see Nemitz 1,000%. He will not trade for either one of those guys. And I'm fairly certain he wouldn't trade Bratt either. But I'll give it a very small likelihood, but I don't think he would trade either of those guys, Bratt or Nemitz, in a deal for O'Reilly and Stamkos. I just can't see it. Jason, Edmonton didn't have enough money, but they included a player to get a deal done. Yeah, you got to pay the price. Whatever it is to get out from under these contracts, you got to do it. The time is now. You tried to get away penalty-free, pay the penalty, whatever it is. Whether it's retention, picks, combo of both, be done with it. Rip the Band-Aid off. My Bob, seems like Vancouver was trying to hold us up if they wanted Nico. The players they got back from Mini were younger, less established. Antonio says, bro, what is ATP? Is a bust. Team is now officially falling apart. Let's go. Top Jimmy, Nico will sign with Colorado, Vegas, Dallas, or Minnesota if Quinn re-signs there. Yeah, he could definitely bring be a piece that takes a contender to the next level and makes them a cup favorite potentially, or just pushes them over the hump, as a whole to win a Stanley Cup. I could totally see Nico being a key piece of a Stanley Cup winning team. I do think he would probably do a little bit better on a team where he wasn't relied upon so much, at least offensively. And he didn't, obviously he's the captain as well. I'm not making an excuse that that's maybe putting more pressure on him, but I just think on a team where he's surrounded by the right kind of guys, he would do much better. And maybe for his own, mental well-being, it'd be better off if he's traded. Again, I don't want him to be traded. I love Nico. But these are all hard questions that must be asked because this team has underperformed now year after year. M-Force Fitz is going to trade Nico in a three-way deal that will include picking up salary again for Boston. I don't think Nico gets traded. I don't. Bratt for an extended tuck. Again, in theory, I like it. The problem for me is the tuck, the upcoming contract. He's going to get a ton of money. Spencer Rugg, besides Fitz, who has been the biggest disappointment for the Devils this season. Let me think about that for a minute. I'm going to leave you with the standings. Guys, check it out. I got to run and use the bathroom real quick. Back in 1 minute. We're nowhere near done. This might go on all night, guys. This one might go on for a while. I got to use the bathroom. Back 1 second. I'm going to get even though I'm not that heartbroken about it, I'm going to get a Quinn Hughes loser beverage. Be right back. Be right back. We're back. I'm not going to go heavy because I'm not going to go with the sauce. We're going back with the surf sides. Yeah, Devils got to make a push. These standings are tight and the season is still salvageable, but something's got to be done. Jay Snow is all in on Alex Tuck. He really wants Tuck. Alex Tuck, make it happen. Listen, do you want to pay him 12 or 13 million bucks? And are the Devils going to be in a position to do that? Again, if Nemo and Grits are still here, that's a lot of money, folks. I don't know exactly what they are going to get, but I'd imagine at the cheapest, I think Nemo gets is $8 million bucks. And if I'm him, I'm asking for Luke money. I'm saying, give me the exact Luke contract. We'll see how their numbers and their play kind of goes as the season goes. But at the moment, I think everybody would say Nemo has been better overall. And I do think Luke is going to pick it up. And hopefully, again, the small silver lining, as much as I hate them and little moral victories, is that highlight reel goal by Luke Hughes last night, hopefully is the start of him kind of breaking out of the little bit of a funk. And we start seeing him do that Luke Hughes stuff on a nightly basis. And that would be phenomenal if he could kind of step it up a little bit going forward for the rest of the season. We could desperately use anything he can contribute, but Nemo's gonna probably get 8 or 9 million, and I'd imagine Grit's probably 6 or 7. So you're talking about, somewhere in the 14 to 17 million dollar range combined. 8 to 9 for Nemo, and 14 to 17-ish. David S., according to that same article, the Canucks wanted Nemitz, Mercer, Nico, and a first. Like, dude, at some point you have to say, like, you're delusional. I will say, if that trade went through, I don't know what the percentage would be. Maybe 20% would have liked it, and 80% would have flamed Fitz for getting robbed. Almond, I think this is the hottest Fitz's seat has ever been. Potentially, but I don't even think it's that hot, if I'm being honest. I don't even know if it's warm. I don't know that anyone cares. Does anyone even care what we're watching right now? I would have to believe after he got away with not getting the goalie in 23-24 and then punting on the season last year, I would have to believe the owners are perfectly fine with this. I don't know. It's just speculation, but wow. It's wild. Running with the Woodson, just watch the hockey guy's reaction. It was hilarious. He was so mad at the return. Was he mad that it was high? Crazy Alex, when's the next Fitz press conference, or is there not going to be one? He's in witness protection. Fitz is currently in witness protection, not talking to the media. It came out last night and again confirmed today that multiple reporters have asked for him multiple times and were denied by the New Jersey Devils. So Fitz is not looking to talk to anyone right now. I'm not surprised. I mean, he's going to get peppered with hard questions that he doesn't want to answer. And so he's hiding. Witness protection, baby. I'm still scrolling through the comments here. You guys are super chatty. Cheers to all of you. What a time to be a Devils fan. Jason, no, I'm fine if Tuck asked for 11 million. Okay. Ride and respect. I'm eating a loser meal right now. He came in second again. Would we give Jack the C at some point? Probably. I mean, imagine in a world where Nico's not here, they probably would make Jack the captain. I mean, that's just probably, that'd be the most favored thing, I think, in that scenario. Crazy Alex, maybe Luke's long deal is worth it to get Quinn here. I don't know. I may be dead wrong. I don't know. Bungie, everyone was saying Nico shooting pucks this morning was showing leadership. To me, it looked more like a meditation practice. Bro is definitely pondering some stuff. So for those who didn't see it, Nico was on the ice early for practice and was shooting pucks into an empty net. I mean, I'm not going to put too much into that personally. I know a lot of people are trying to dissect it and whatever else, but I'm not going to do any sort of deep dive on it other than he's probably pissed off. I'm sure a lot of other guys are. And he was like, let me just go shoot some pucks. I don't think it's anything too deep. Ant Raccoon, as long as the Canes don't win the cup this year, I will be happy. I hate the Canes so much. Spencer, if both Hughes end up leaving in a few years, are we back in rebuild territory? I mean, they're not. Jack is signed up for a while and Luke is signed up for even longer. So unless we trade them, they're both going to be here very soon. I don't think we're anywhere near rebuild territory. Like, people are saying that. And I'm down on this team and the roster too, but a competent GM can fix this, or at least make it, maybe not fixed to the gold standard of NHL rosters, but there's zero reason for this team not to be competitive. We have a ton of good players. A ton of good players. Devil Dog says Nemo, 8 or 9 million in a hat trick once a month. Happens all the time for defensemen. Top Jimmy Nemitz will have to get paid if he keeps up the good play. I'm actually glad we didn't lose him to Vancouver. I think a lot of people are happy Nemo's still here, including me. I think he's going to be a very good player, and he has that clutch. You can't teach that clutch. You cannot just add that to your game. Like, he has it. An overtime, double overtime playoff goal, a hat trick in overtime, a different overtime winning goal, a shootout winning goal. I mean, this guy's done it all. Tied the Islander game up late. Pride and respect. What a disaster this franchise is in right now. It makes me so sad. A lot of us are sad. I mean, what are we going to do? All we could do is sit here and hope for the best. Jay Russo, do we think Quinn will sign with the Devils after the Wild contract? Well, I have no idea. I think there's a good chance he stays in Minnesota now. We'll see. I mean, it is crazy that Billy Guerin just went aggressive win now with no guarantee or inclination of a contract extension, just ships all those pieces for 2 years. Almond, it seems like the whole organization, like you said, are content with doing nothing. It's unfortunate. Ray just saw a post that said the thing that Devils fans should be most upset about this trade is we drafted Holtz over Rossi and Zeev over Zeev. Yeah. No, I knew that was coming too. And, it is and that's another kind of stain, if you want to, a stain or blemish on the Fitz resume amongst many of them. My biggest issue with him is the inactivity during the past 2 seasons. That's my number one overall biggest gripe with him, and the reason why I thought he should have been relieved of his duties. But the drafting, there's been some snafus there as well. And it is what it is. The Holtz was an absolute terrible pick, and then we ship Holtz and Akira Schmid, who was also mismanaged, to the Vegas Golden Knights for Paulie Cotter. And I love Paulie Cotter, but let's be real, a number 7 overall and a potential starting goalie in this league who's looked pretty damn good this year for the Knights, including when he came to the Rock and shut us out about a week ago. That's a function of bad draft picks and bad drafting. And even another reason why I constantly say, other than being in win now mode and saying that I have no interest in the team drafting with draft picks in the next couple of years, aside from being in win now mode and those pieces not helping you anytime soon, is the fact that our draft history is terrible. That even if you draft with the pick, what confidence do you have that they're going to get a guy who's going to contribute at any point? With the history being what it is, all the picks should be traded for so many reasons. DMW, any news on the Timo situation, news on his family? No, I don't think we're ever going to hear anything about that either, other than maybe, a couple days before he's set to return, they might say, Timo's coming back or something like that. But outside of that, I'm not expecting to hear anything on that front. Top Jimmy, drafting Holtz was a Fitz masterclass in stupidity. Holtz's rating was extremely low at the time. He was a bad skater, and Fitz still took him over the likes of Rossi and Askarov. Yeah, would have been nice to have him in the goaltending stable right now as well. And I thought there was a chance they were going to try to trade for him when those rumors were coming up, but, they didn't. Top Jimmy, I actually think Nemitz would be a fine captain in a few years. It's an interesting one. Dakota, I'm still in shock over this. I would have never thought Quinn would be traded to the Wild. I'd imagine you and everyone else. Ride and respect, a competent GM can make this a competent team. Completely agree. But that's a big kind of wish for us at this point. What is going to, set the wheels in motion for us to have a competent GM? It's either Tom Fitzgerald wakes up from his slumber, his in-season slumber, or he gets canned and they bring in someone else. Ariel, Bill Guerin is a true GM. Top Jimmy, a competent GM can clean house and fix this organization. The question is, are the owners invested enough to see how incompetent Fitz is and do what's needed? I mean, that's the only thing you could hope for. But at this point, I'm going to say no, because I do think the 23-24 season should have been the end. To not get goaltending when we desperately needed it, I thought was an unforgivable crime. And a precious year of a core wasted is just, it's unforgivable in my opinion. And you should pay for it with your job. Jay Snow, let's be serious. The Devils are a dysfunctional organization. We've been a bad hockey team outside 1 year since 2012. The history speaks for itself, guys. From the 2013 season on, for those counting at home, this organization has won a single playoff round, my friends. A single playoff round. That beautiful 7-game series against the New York Rangers in 23. Single playoff round, 7 total playoff games. That's it. That is it in 12 years. It's honestly disgusting. Just gross negligence on so many levels. And obviously Fitz wasn't here for all of that, so I'm not trying to say that all of that failure and losing is, due to him. But he's been here for a while now, and he's touched a lot of these teams that have just consistently underachieved. Team Majos, honestly, I wouldn't want to part with the pieces for the trade. Nemitz, Mercer, Grits. There are other trades to make, and I believe we will sign him anyways. He needs to make a smart trade. Yeah, I'm not heartbroken that we didn't get him. I'm not. It would have been nice to get him if that was an option. But I've maintained from the beginning that I would much prefer to use assets and cap space on more pressing needs, which would be forward help. NJ Devils, we want the cup. Since our cup run in 2012, we have made the playoffs 3 times in 13 years, 3, and only one of them we were legit. This sucks. Yeah. Amongst the round one and the 7 total games, it was 3 total playoff berths. It's sad. It's really sad. Top Jimmy, outside of getting gifted 10th overall twice, 2nd pick and 4th pick to take obvious high picks, Fitz's drafting has sucked. Yeah, I mean, Holtz and Stillman are 2 that stick out to me for sure. Christopher, I understand here. I really thought you guys were going to get him. I wouldn't blame his brothers if they request a trade and be closer to him. I'm surprised. I mean, listen, if I'm running a team and anyone requests a trade, I'm shipping them out immediately. If you don't want to be here, you're done. I don't think they do that, though. I think the 2 of them are fine together in New Jersey. Almond, if we miss the postseason, does Fitz get canned, or what would it take for him to get canned in your eyes? I'll put it, if they miss the playoffs, I put it at 50-50. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion whatsoever. Ride and respect per Trey Matthews. The Caps reportedly offered Connor McMichael, Cole Hudson, another prospect, and 2 first-round picks for Quinn Hughes. Yeah, I mean, everyone came with it. I don't want Fletcher either. NJ Devils, we want the cup. No playoffs. Seen this story too many times before. Ryan Demand, Jack coming back won't fix this dumpster fire. No, but it'll help. It'll help, but we need more help. Tank for McKenna. You guys are brutal. Top Jimmy, if Fitz is relieved of his duties, the owners can't install Kate Madigan or Fletcher. F that. And honestly, I don't want Marty or Patty either. Need to go outside the organization and tap a forward-seeing GM. I still would give Marty a chance, but I definitely don't want anyone else who was associated with Fitz at any point during this debacle. Brendan Shanahan's high on my list. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I will take a shot with Shanny as well. A lot of people are like, oh, he sucked in Toronto, but I think that core was super flawed as well, and a core that wasn't ever going to win no matter what. I can't put that on Shanahan, and I would certainly put out a call to him if Marty didn't want the job, of course. And at this point, I don't even know if Marty would. Dakota, at least the Devils have won a playoff round recently, unlike a certain team. Frank, I'm going with my son tomorrow, his first game ever, and I'm not even excited. What team are we going to see? Hopefully a team that scores goals and a team that can find a way to win a game they desperately need to win. Running with the Woodson, when the pick is top 10, we've actually done pretty well. That's why tanking is not a bad thing when the season is lost. Well, yeah, that's because there's not much of a decision to make, though. At, what was it, 4th overall, I think, when Luke was there? Like that, there was nothing for them to think about. You knew they were going to pick Luke, so there's no decision to make there. The Nemitz one, up until probably a month or 2 ago, I think a lot of people still would have been complaining about the Nemitz pick at number 2 and would have talked about, Logan Cooley or Shane Wright and how that would have been a useful piece to have at the moment. But now that Nemo's exploded, that talk has kind of died down. But that was a very real talking point for a lot of people prior to a month or 2 ago as well. And the team would need some serious grit. Analytics aside, or anything you don't win by making the numbers move. I agree with that. Richard, love Billy G, but never saw this coming. I was looking carefully at Caps and thought they might be the team to nab Quinn. a lot of things align for them too. Bungie, mostly kidding. I think the ship can be turned around. I have faith in Nico. Timo will be back. Hopefully Jack and Pesci return in January. This division is so tight. Yeah. Every game is important and every point is precious. And this team is just pissing them away right now. Regularly. Jay Snow, Anaheim was a joke 2 years ago. They look nasty now. Yeah. Last I looked, are they still leading the division? Let me see. They were a couple days ago. And Dostal's a beast in net. You build a team from the net out. If you have a good goalie, you're always in it. With a good goalie, you always have a chance to win. The last I looked was a couple days ago. So they're second in the Pacific right now with 39 points. Playing .629 points percentage hockey. Pretty nice. Dogzilla, Shanahan would hold the players accountable and infuse some Irish testosterone into the beta male players. Oh, boy. Washed up 24. Wait till the Ducks have to re-sign their top dog. Is going to have no cap like the Devils. Man, that's how it happens. But that's why it's important to try to make some moves while you have guys on team-friendly contracts. And that's going to be another point to the failed Fitzgerald administration is that you have, Brader on a very good contract, Nico on a good contract right now, and Jack. And it's like all these years are going by and nothing's happened. We've won a single playoff round. Like, what are we talking about? You have to capitalize when you have these team-friendly contracts. Team Majos, you ever play around with Puckpedia? Of course. I'm trying to think of a trade we can make for forward help. Dougie might just be a cap dump. I think at this point they'd be happy with that. Do you see one of Nico, Timo, or Brat being traded? At this point, I wouldn't be shocked by anything, but I do think Brat would be the most likely one of the group to be traded, in my opinion. Ray Rage, now that Vancouver has started to sell, would you trade for Garland or Besser after we move a contract or two? I would be open to anyone that could improve this team, period. But you got to do all your due diligence. And because of the cap space situation, there's not going to be a ton of cap space where they could do like all kinds of moves. Like some people think they're going to make like, all these trades. There's going to be 5 new players on the team. Like not realistic whatsoever. There is a salary cap. And even if they are able to move off some of these contracts, it's still going to be somewhat tight. Keep in mind, they still have to find room for Kovacevic. And so even with some maneuvering to free up money, you're not going to have a lot of bullets to fire. And so you better hit on the moves that you do make. And so if one of the guys in Vancouver ended up being the best available piece and best fit for this group, and that was what it was, then I would say fine. But you got to investigate all the other potentials before you pull the trigger. Top Jimmy, if Marty or Patty failed as GM, it would tarnish their legacy as Devils legends like what happened to John McClain. I don't know how much that did tarnish his legacy, honestly. Maybe a little bit, but I think he tarnished his legacy the most by playing for the Rangers, probably. But Fitzy the garbage pail. No wrapping up early tonight, sir. I mean, wow, what time is it? I've been on here for a little bit already, huh? Alan, Ace, do the fans realize the reason Blackwood, Wedgwood, and Akira are much better now and beat us is because the teams they are on now are much better than the Devils? I do agree that is definitely a big part of it. And again, I do not include the Blackwood, Wedgwood. I don't include those guys on the list of mismanagements by Fitz. Like it's easy to now use hindsight and go back and really try to lambaste them for all these different things. I'm definitely not holding his feet to the fire for those. I will for Akira Schmid, because like I've talked about a million times, this guy is a franchise legend. The only guy not named Marty Brodeur to win a playoff series for the Devils in the past 32 years. And so I would have been way more patient with him because he delivered something that no one else has done since before many of you were born. And that's a series win for the New Jersey Devils. I do think his whole development and everything was mishandled here, and it is what it is. It'd be nice to have him in our mix right now too. Almond, great stream ace. Hopefully they turn the ship around. I think they will. I hope so, but we're going to need to see some moves made. SJ says, keep Timo. We need more Timos, not less. I completely agree. Completely agree. Blade DC, I'm a newer hockey fan. These past 3 years, still learning, but the Devils looked really good when everyone was healthy. Will getting everyone back turn things around? It'll certainly help. To what extent, I don't know. I don't know that just getting Pesci and Jack back is going to be like, oh, we're now back to the team we saw during the 8-game heater. It'll certainly make the team much better, but the way this team has played and how they've looked so incredibly lifeless with Jack out, it should have revealed the much larger cracks in the foundation of this team, and it should be a real big cause for concern and a cause for immediate action by Fitz to try to fix it as best as possible. Jay Snow doesn't want Shanahan. I'd go for Kiefer Sherwood. I like him too. I don't know. Supposedly they want a lot for him too, and he's going to want like $5 million, I think, a year going forward. But I wouldn't be mad at that. I would like him for sure. Running with the Woodson Brat can't be traded without his approval, just like almost all of our players. I mean, we're just assuming that you're talking about with these guys' approvals, because like you pointed out, most of the guys have trade protection. So obviously this is just in theory, assuming they would approve a trade of some kind. Why would they want to leave there? They are not made to work. I think that's maybe a little extreme. Per Lane McIntyre, the one thing I made certain about, under no circumstances could we guarantee a contract extension with anyone. Interesting. Fitzy the Garbage Pails, A. Russo, I had to do the name change for many reasons. Okay. Brian, I live in Anaheim. Why, God, do I love the Devils? Should be a Ducks fan. How did you start liking the Devils? Did you grow up in New Jersey? NJDevils28, I seriously doubt Fitzgerald will trade Heischer and Bratt. If anything, I see Markstrom getting traded. I'm pretty sure he has trade protection too, and they're not going to give up on him right away. Fitzy just signed him. NJDevils, you want the cup. Quack, quack, quack. Debated buying an Adam Banks jersey the other day. Cake eater. Fitzy the Garbage Pail need Kyrou big time. He's got a lot of term left at a good number. I wouldn't mind seeing him. I've seen enough extend Markey again. You guys are hilarious. Spencer, Akira was a huge fumble for us. I really liked him. I did too. SJ, Nico only for another center like Tage. Completely agree. Almond, hey, lest we're not the Vancouver. What a dumpster fire they are after this. No move clause killing the team right now. Yo, Holmes, yes, waving Wedgwood as you missed the playoffs because of goaltending is inexcusable. But did you ever think he was the solution? Like, I didn't. I was like, he was okay, but like I thought they were gonna bring in, a bigger What year did Wedgwood leave? Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. Waving Wedgwood as you missed the playoffs. I'm a little confused there. Frank says Brad is not the problem. I'm not suggesting that he is. I'm certainly not suggesting that Brad is the problem. I'm merely suggesting, let me think about this, that he may not be part of the solution. That's, I think, the best way I can put it. And I love Brader. Love him to death. But maybe, a new start, and maybe it's not him, maybe it's somebody else, but maybe a new start is just what this team and one of these players need. Brian says, don't forget what happened with Rantanen last year, getting traded twice in one season. There's a chance that Minnesota feels Quinn isn't a fit and he ends up getting traded again into us. I can't see that. That was super bizarre. I do think that was severe malpractice by the Canes to not investigate or look into that situation more than they did, because that was pretty wild. But I don't know. Paul passes, Rutherford confirmed that Quinn requested to be traded to the East, but no one came close to Minnesota's offer. Yeah, and I said that from the beginning too, that I did believe the Canucks would do their best to accommodate Quinn's wishes. So obviously his number one wish was to go to the Devils, and then his secondary wish was to go somewhere in the East. But I did say, if the packages are wildly different, the Canucks are going to act in their best interest and take the best package. And in this case, it clearly was the Minnesota Wild and Billy G. Jason says, Mark, he's got trade protection. Good luck moving him. Favorite hockey movie? If I had to pick one, I got to go Mighty Ducks. Per Lane, Rutherford said Canucks were talking to an Eastern team. Quinn Hughes is but Wild called a week ago and asked if he could get in. Okay. Running with the Woodson, only top 6 forward you could trade now is Jack, Mercer, and Grits. Ryan and respect, I just can't believe the silence from this organization and Fitz specifically. I mean, are you really surprised? Will we hear from him at all this week? No. Next week? Probably not. Not at all. I'm going to say not at all till the deadline. It's such a joke. I think he stays in witness protection until the deadline. Maybe he shocks us and comes out of hiding, but I doubt it. Running with the Woodson, I would be okay trading Grits as part of a piece for a center. Same with Casey. I don't want to trade Grits at all, man. That's just making another hole on wing. Like, he's a good winger. I love Grits. Brian, if Fitz needed to see other teams wheel and deal because he's so timid, now it happened. No excuses, move bodies out, get some grit already. I do think more so than waiting for other teams to act, like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were here, I do think it's more of a function of they were prioritizing the Quinn Hughes deal and all in on that, and they were waiting to see how that played out before they started analyzing other potential moves. And so now that the Quinn deal is done, I think we will see, or at least hear, more rumors of him talking to teams about other guys. Whether they happen or not, I don't know. But I think he is actively talking to people. Now he's just got to deliver. SJ, Grits spend the most time attacking out of all our players. I love Grits. Man, you guys are chatty. Chatty. I can't keep up. I need my eyes fine. Frank, would be nice if we could unload Palat's contract. Yeah, it would be. It's probably not that easy. I'm sure they've attempted. I mean, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised by anything. Maybe they haven't even attempted to. Bungie, we're getting Stammer this Christmas. A guy could dream. Oh, man, I would love Stammer, but the price has to be right. And I think that there might be some teams that would take him without retention is what worries me. Now, I do think he also has trade protection, and so that could play a part as well. I do think Stammer will, Nashville overall, I think, is a pretty desirable city for a lot of NHL players. And so, and especially because it's state income tax free, he probably would only you sign off on a deal if he was going to like a legitimate contender. I'd have to believe he could be convinced that the Devils would be, especially, if they told him, well, we see you playing with, Jack and Brad or whatever it is, that would certainly pique his interest and have him sign off on a potential deal. But I do think there's potentially other teams, but they're bad teams that he might not want to go to. Yeah, so there's so many variables. Like, would a bad team that might not be at the cap floor for next year take on his full contract? I don't know. I'd have to look at other teams' financials. I'm not too up on all of the cap situations of other teams, and especially going into next year. But if the Devils could get him with Nashville retaining, I'm super about it. Traveling Devil 76. Devils need to get the correct winger for Jack and Bratt. Again, when Jack comes back, I don't even know that we will see Jack and Bratt together. I'm a big peanut butter and jelly guy. It just always seemed like they worked so well together and really elevate their games when they are playing together. But for a good stretch anyway, Nico, Timo, and Bratt looked like a decent line. And I think it was only one game, did we see, of Jack, Grits, and Mercer. So I don't know. Maybe when Jack comes back, they do try to do Jack, Grits, and Mercer again. It will be interesting because we haven't seen Jack in so long, how that affects the rest of the lines. Brian, nothing surprises me anymore with Fitz. He's clearly not cut out for this job. All the people who are actual Devils fans and support him don't care about making the playoffs, just protecting picks. There's a lot of those people. The future is bright, folks. They really, while many of us get excited about the team winning and playoff round wins and trying to chase a cup, these other people look at draft picks and draft capital and prospects. And like, that's like winning to them. It's nonsense. Win now. Win now teams trade picks away like they're nothing for win now pieces. And Brisebois in Tampa Bay, I believe it was last year, got aggressive and traded a bunch of his picks, if not all of them. And when he was asked about it, he said, I'd rather have a roster of good players than a bunch of picks. And it's just so true. that like these people that just obsess over the future is crazy. That's why my future is brights glasses are on. Zach, you think any shot will still make the playoffs this year? And if so, do any damage? That's a loaded one because there's so many moving parts and variables to it. In the end, if I had to pick, I would say they still make the playoffs, which could be hopeful. That might be wearing my red colored glasses, but I just think they have too much talent, and especially when Jack comes back, to miss the playoffs. I definitely think there needs to be moves no matter what. Just the injured guys coming back are not acquisitions in themselves as much as they might try to talk about them as if they are. There needs to be changes made. But I just think even if they play terribly, just they can't bottom out completely. If they just play like 400 or maybe even 450 points percentage hockey for the next month, that might put them in. Maybe they just have to try to stick to around that. If they could be around 500, I think when Jack comes back, they're capable of going on a couple runs and stringing together, like, winning 4 out of 5 or maybe 5 out of 7, where they could get into the playoffs. Now, will they do any damage? If no major moves are made, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's a complete repeat of last year. They get into the playoffs and get whacked in the first round. Now, if they go out and get a 3C, maybe get some other forward with some grit or, another piece or two, and some of these guys step up and elevate their game, I do think they're capable of doing damage. But that obviously starts with one of our goaltenders playing at the top of their game and running with the net, whether that's Markey or Jake Allen. Somebody's got to really dial it in and give us top-tier goaltending consistently in the playoffs if they have any chance of doing some damage. But I do think that potential is still there. But that's going to require the team being improved via trade or trades and everybody stepping up and pulling their weight. Ryden Respects says some team is going to take Dougie's contract and like it. Name this movie. I'm giving a prize. Prize alert. Prize alert. It's not going to be a huge prize, but a prize. Prize alert. Prize alert. Mark's 400. All right. Prize alert. The first person to correctly identify where this quote is from in the chat will win a prize of some kind. So everyone get your fingers ready. This is a speed question. Wait, where was I? Wait, Jason, they need to move money first before they take anyone in, so I don't think it's going to happen that fast. If some team is going to take Dougie's contract and like it. Okay, that's what made me smart. The first person to name this, where this comes from, gets a prize. You bob for apples in the toilet, and you like it. First one to hit the chat is a prize winner. Who's going to do it? Who's going to win the prize? I'm surprised no one got it yet. People are Googling. Oh, my God. Terrible. I think it was Snow. I think Snow got it. I think Snow got it. Yep. Jay Snow is our winner. All right. I'll get back to that in a minute. I missed some comments before that. Alan, Ace being a season ticket holder since year 1, I really wish the Devils would just clear out most of the front office and bring in guys like Shanny, Stevens, Patty, Marty. I do too, but I will say I am a sucker for these types of guys, and they're not all going to work out, but I certainly would be willing to try. I'd rather fail with a legend, franchise legends who have been around the game forever than fail with number crunching losers. Sorry. And some of you are going to think that that's crazy, but I don't think it is. Give me hockey guys at every position versus these analytics people who have no background in hockey. I'm sorry. It'll never make sense to me. Ride and Respect. The Devils trying to convince Stammer that they're a contender would be the biggest crock of shit yarn story ever spun, and it would be hilarious. Is it though? I mean, I think I could sell it pretty good. I'd imagine the Devils could as well. There's enough there to spin that, I think. I mean, listen, you can even tell them right now, what are we, 5 points out of first place? You start there. Look how tight the conference is. You come here, we might finish first in the conference. Jason has a stammer. You get to play with Jack. You're just not allowed to go to team dinners anymore. Team Mahos Hamilton and 3rd round pick to the Ducks for Ryan Poling. Hamilton's contract will expire. They need to pay their young guys and helps them with the playoff push. I think a lot of people have been rumoring, was it Anaheim? And I think some people said San Jose, but I don't know that Doug, you would want to go there. Jason, no, Jack, Grits, and Mercer is such a small line. I agree. When playoffs come, that line will get buried. But Grits is not too small, and he plays a pretty heavy game, all things considered, pound for pound. Grits, I would say, is definitely the muscle of the 3 of them, which is not saying much, but Michael, my concern is it'll take some time when Jack returns for him to get back to his normal self. We need not dig a deeper hole. We must push for something big, include top assets and Mercer or Nemitz. Oh, man, now you guys are just floating Nemitz out there in every deal, huh? I would prefer not to. And the same with Mercer. But if there's a trade that truly improves the team, I'm not against it. And Dougie likes the Suns, so he will accept. Tampa's a well-run team, for sure. Breezeball is the man. Alex, we might underestimate the damage the slide is doing not only to the standings, but the team's mental might be cooked even with the guys back. I certainly hope not. I mean, these guys are professional athletes getting paid millions of dollars. Like, you can't be that much of a mental midget. Like, get over it. We're in a losing streak, but it certainly is not inspiring hockey we've been watching right now. NJDevs28, Sheldon Keefe is a great coach, but he needs to put his words and drive into these players' heads next game. Yeah, this is a big weekend. It's a very big weekend. Traveling, if the Devils wanted to build a team around Jack, they should have had bruisers and scrappers that could skate, not non-physical fitness players. Oh, not non-physical finesse players. I'm like, it's been a long day, guys. No, I agree. We just overloaded on the same type of player, and it's a bit repetitive. And as a overall team, that is the identity right now, and it's obviously not working. And it is what it is. Sandlot night game. Some of these guesses are hilarious. If for those of you that have not seen The Sandlot, I'd imagine it'll only be younger people. The Sandlot is a must-watch. Quintessential childhood movie, all-time classic. Check out Sandlot. A phenomenal. What the hell is Sandlot? Devil Dog, how old are you? I have to start writing this shit down because I can't remember. My apologies, guys. There's a lot of you, so it's hard for me to remember specifics, like, you know, how old you are or where you live and stuff. So I ask a lot of the repetitive questions, and I apologize. There's a ton of you. Devil Dog, how old are you? I need to know. What the hell is Sandlot? You never even heard of it? There's no way you're 88. This is now I'm being trolled. Devil Dog, you are not 88 years old. Is this Devil Dog going to really tell me he's 88 right now? I'd be stunned. I can't believe it. I need to get through these comments to get back down to see if Devil Dog answers me. We got the Hall curse, the curse of Taylor Hall, huh? Crazy Alex, I think we need to run Allen for until the new year at least. I don't think Markey's going to bounce back by not playing. That's the thing. So it's like he's going to play one of these games, obviously, because you guys know in the current NHL, it is completely inhumane and abusive, quite frankly. Physically and mentally abusive to play goaltenders on back-to-back nights. And so you know for a fact we are not going to see the same goalie both of these games. So I'm thinking it's going to be Jaker tomorrow. Jake Allen in between the pipes for your New Jersey Devils. And we will see Markey again Sunday against the worst team in the league without their former best player, Quinn Hughes. Come on, Markey. Maybe that'll be the booster he needs. Maybe we get a big Markey shutout against the Canucks on Sunday. Spencer, do you watch any other teams besides Devils on occasion? I may watch a few Minnesota games. Very rarely, probably never actually a full game. I'll see bits and pieces, but for the most part, I'm watching NHL on the fly and watching stuff online. Full games, it's just hard. I already devote a lot of time, for the Devils. And then on off, when they're not playing, I'm doing other shit. So I watch on the fly a ton. Jay Snow, you're hilarious. You're going to send those Marty fans in one box or two. Keep dreaming. Right and respect for anything meaningful, you kind of need to include Nemitz. The problem is Fitz doesn't know the definition of meaningful. I don't know. I think it depends on the trade partner. I think there's tons of teams where you might be able to pluck a piece that helps us now if they're kind of in a rebuild or a retool where their timeline is not as urgent, that you may get away with sending them futures like picks or a guy like Seamus Casey or a guy like Salayev, possibly a guy like Edwards, Hami. Now, I'm just throwing out a bunch of prospects. But there is a world where you could find a partner where you could get immediate help where maybe they don't need NHL ready guys and they could take picks and, prospects and younger pieces so that you don't have to trade a roster player. I think it's possible. It's crazy if you've never seen Sandlot. Devil Dog, Tampa Bay is a well-run team, and it all starts with the ownership, and their owner is a Jersey guy. Is he? Carson, I don't think people realize Vancouver actually didn't do bad. Rising 2C with 60 points last year is actually good. Maybe a win-win trade. Well, I mean, I don't think you could ever trade a guy like Quinn Hughes and say that you're winning the trade. But I do think they made the best out of a bad situation. Like, they had to get rid of him. This thing came to a head quickly. And it's a damn shame that the Devils couldn't be in on this. I mean, I would be curious to know if we hear any more commentary about whether it was just the package that blew them away or the Devils got left out in the cold because they didn't have the cap space. But it seems like I'd imagine they're going to say, the Wild package just was the best, and the Devils, if they were trying to hold Nico kind of hostage in that situation, it makes sense that they did not proceed. Michael, here's the deal, Ace. You got to trade Nemitz. We're going to need to make room on the back end once Kovacevic comes back. Well, that's why a lot of people have speculated he could be the odd guy out as well. Wait, Devil Dog, are you really 88? If you are, I'm super impressed. Crazy Alex, I just looked it up. I think I might have watched clips or a good portion of Sandlot somewhere. Oh my God, Alex, how old are you again? I forget. I know you're a kid. Oh, Devil Dog is messing with me. Crazy Alex, how old are you? Killing me, Smalls. Brian, tell me what you really think about Sheldon Soray and his time with the Devils. What about Brendan Morrison? Soray, I always liked Soray. He was a dog. He was kind of a wild man too, which obviously I liked. I thought he was going to be around for a while as well. Didn't play a ton. Let me see. Yet unfortunately for him, he got dealt right before the Cup. Man, that probably burns him too. That was a great team in 99-2000. But that's what brought us Malikov. I don't remember like super specifics, but I remember him being a dog and I liked him. And I remember him having a bunch of hot girlfriends. Brendan Moe, another one where I thought young, exciting kid. Thought he was going to be around for a while too. Yeah, I could put him with like the Steve Sullivans of the world. I liked all these guys. I'd go watch them in training camps and stuff before they even made it. Damn, I didn't realize Brendan Moe had 46 points in that 98-99 year. 13 and 33. Wow. I remember him producing, but I don't remember it being that good. 46 points in 76 games. Yeah, where do we find a couple Brendan Morrisons nowadays? Sheesh. Yeah, and sorry, I definitely had a cannon blast. Go watch that movie tonight. Eric Quinn, the problem is the Devils can't score, so Markey probably looks like a god at practice. You guys are brutal. M. Stride, when Jack comes back, I think our record from there on out will be decent enough, but if we keep losing like this right now, it won't matter. Yeah, they got to just get some wins. Like, no one's asking you to win 8 games in a row again, but you can't lose 6 of 7. Big game tomorrow. Are you going? No. I've had my heart stomped on the last few times I went to the Rock. Was at the, let me think, what was the last 3 games I went to? The Columbus disaster, Columbus, the Dallas shutout, and I was there last night. So these are all just, losses along the losing streak. And I just don't have it in me to go tomorrow. I don't think. But I've said that a bunch of times. It ended up going. I'm a glutton for punishment. So I'm saying no. There's a chance I go, but I'm really leaning towards staying away this weekend. I've had a lot of disappointment with this team and other things in life as of late. And so that really is it's a tough proposition. Beachmaster, why wait for 3 goals before pulling a goalie? Keefe should have pulled Markey earlier. I'm never going to kill a coach for that. Like, listen, he didn't have a great game. Typically Keefe doesn't like pulling goalies, period. That's not really a thing he does. He'll let the guy stay in there and just get lit up. I guess I wasn't that stunned because the crowd was kind of, the team just looked dead. And so I think he thought it was going to maybe spark some emotion for the team or maybe the crowd, but it was terrible. That game got away so quickly. What? Never once did Sandlot reference bobbing for apples in a toilet? It most certainly did. What are you talking about? I'm so confused. Captain Mafungo used to watch Sandlot back-to-back on this ancient device called the Black Box. Oh, man. Those were phenomenal, Captain Mafungo. That played a pivotal role in my boxing and UFC fandom because I was able to get all these fights that cost money for no money. And all my boys would come over and we watch all the big pay-per-views. UFC, before anyone watched it, when it was super niche, like 25 years ago. And all the big boxing ones. And then obviously you get all the movies and stuff too. But love the fights. Insane Pollock, I doubt analytics had anything to do with Florida trading Huberdeau for Matthew Tkachuk. I think the analytics people, praisers, will try to tell you that it did. But obviously, to me, I agree with you that certainly seems like a GM who saw a team and said, we need an identity change, a culture shift. Let me go get this uncaged animal from Calgary and release him in South Beach. And what happened as a result? The Panthers went to the Cup Finals 3 times in a row and are back-to-back Cup champs. M-Force, I'm going to make a sign for tomorrow's game that says our GM is number 1 at coming in 2nd place. Okay, you're 18. Watch The Sandlot. It's a great movie. Devil Dog, never seen Mighty Ducks. Was 23 when it came out. Too old for that. Almost made it through with my granddaughter. Wait, so is 55 the real age? Did you typo 88 twice? I'm confused. I'm trying to keep up now. Oh, man, I liked Mike Commodore and Jason Smith. Willie Mitchell, I didn't really have an attachment to, but I liked Commodore and Jason Smith. Jason Smith went on to have a pretty solid NHL career. Spencer, hit the thumbs up for your boy. Thank you. Thank you. Bungie, Brad Marchand was starting the pot on Instagram saying Quinn to New Jersey was common sense and is now posting laughing emojis on the news about the Wild trade. Oh, boy. I'm sure there's going to be hours of entertainment to be had on the internets or days of entertainment, really. Alan, Ace, I know Markey's playing terrible right now, but I feel so bad for him. He is so hard to dislike. So do I. I love Markey. He seems like a really cool dude. Was once a very good goaltender, and I'm hoping he could still be. it's going to be tough, and he takes it very hard on himself. If anyone who saw the interview after the game last night, you could tell that it really bothers him. He's really bothered by it. Mason, I was ready to buy a Quinn Devils jersey, but I guess not. If Quinn makes it to the Devils soon, I hope Jack and Luke is still in their prime. And if he comes, I'm getting his jersey. The dream might be dead. Dream might be dead. Jason, the black box was the best. Used to hide it when the cable company came over. Very nice. I have a pretty terrible black box story that I'll get into real quick. If no one else understands black boxes, Snow, at least you'll understand this. Quick story. Years ago, when I was probably about 15, me and my brother shared a room, and we had the box was in our room. So it only had all the channels on our TV. And one night, I'll never forget it. And I guess the living room box must have been on a splitter or something in the wall. I don't know. I was a kid and didn't really know. But all I know is I found this thing myself, hooked it up. It was in my bedroom. And one night, I hear a blood-curdling scream from the living room. And it was my mother screaming. And I run into the living room. And like she had on channel 2 or 4 or something. I think she was channel 4 or whatever. She was trying to watch like Jay Leno. This is at night. Blood-curdling scream. And the Spice channel was on channel 4. And my mother was mortified. Oh, and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, well, how did this happen? And then we come to realize afterwards there was a splitter or something, and somehow it got messed up and it like jumbled all the order of the channels on the box in the living room, and it was a whole thing. And she's like, I'm calling the cable company. And I was like, no. And then like I panicked and I had to disconnect the thing. It was a whole nightmare, but pretty wild stuff with the prehistoric old school cable boxes. Blade Deasy, the best quote from arguably the best hockey movie, I play hockey and I fornicate, because those are the two most fun things to do in cold weather. You guys are still talking about Full Metal Jacket. All right, do you guys have anything else? I'm exhausted. Oh, thank you for the super, Dr. MacArthur. I just saw this now. Sandlot, more like sand slop. Running with the Wooden said, even Ace had software issues with the cable. Yeah, you're a funny guy. It was split in the wall and something happened and it somehow jumbled all the channels, and like the order was all messed up too. So she was like on channel 4, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, Spice came on, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, how unlucky am I? And she was going to panic and call the cable company. I'm like, no, I think I could fix it. I freaked out. I ripped it out and hit it. I was all paranoid. I was like, I may have even been like 14. V Meglis, I'm late to the party, Ace, but I don't know why anyone is fretting. We all know in a year and a half from now, Q Hughes is heading to NJ. Let's go Devils. I don't know. And at this point, I don't even care. I was never super high on this move anyway. Like, I would have been happy if we got him. Don't get me wrong. But I wasn't like, we need to get him, because clearly that's not our most pressing need or even close to it. John Fay, what's next for the Devils is all I want to know. Quinn is no longer on the table. Forward help. 3C and a gritty winger. Let's go. Carson Canes. Canes finally got goaltending off of a waiver pickup. So happy for... So Mason, the closest thing I could get of all three brothers playing on the Devils is NHL 26. NJ Devs, hit the like. Thank you. Hit the like. Hit the like. Richard, not necessarily. This team could look entirely different in 27, and Billy G is a damn good GM. Win now. Win now. L. Smith, I can rewatch this tomorrow, but I missed your initial reaction. Come on, man. Can I get your Spark Notes? Spark Notes is Fitz came in second again. And in the end, I'm not devastated by it. It gives us more flexibility to make the adjustments to hopefully bolster this roster in the areas that we need for real. Like Quinn was a nice shiny toy that was a luxury, which I've said from the beginning. Nobody looked at this Devils team and was like, they're an offensive defenseman away from being a juggernaut. Like, no one said that. But because of the connection to his brothers, because he is one of the best players in the league, it was an exciting thing and people got wrapped up in it. But in the end, we're probably better off for it. Again, would have been thrilled if we got him. And it's funny that we were in on him and came in second. But, live to fight another day. That was probably holding up everything. So now you must go and conduct the business that must be done. Quinn is off the table. Figure it out. They used to splice the cable to not pay for it. Higher for life. I'm 23. What is the Spice Channel? It's old school naughty adult films. John Fay, right? It's just by guessing how empty do we think the Rock is going to be afternoon? Empty. The Rock is going to be tomorrow afternoon. Like I said before, not that empty because this is the dream of all the parents, all the kids that are like, "Mommy, bring me to the Devils game." They don't want to bring them on school nights. And so the weekend is obviously the most prime time slot to bring the kids. And then you could bring them in the afternoon and not even have to come home late on the weekend. That's a win for all the parents. And so I do expect there's going to be a ton of kids there. I don't know what the, let me see something here real quick. Let me take a look at something that might give me a gauge. How full or whatever it will be. It's never going to be fully empty. Obviously. Dude, what the heck? And because it's the weekend, daytime, I think it's going to be pretty decent crowd. But yeah, from looking at the available tickets, it looks like there's a good amount available. I mean, that's always the case. Not to people will buy tickets when they go there and stuff, but in the morning. I think overall people will say there was a good amount of empty seats, but I don't think it's going to be like tragic. That will be during weekday games if they continue to suck in the next couple of weeks. V Meglis Ace, our problems between the pipes. We need a goaltender. I'm very comfortable with Jake Allen in there. I feel very good with Jake Allen, and I once upon a time felt good with Markey, and I'm hoping he could get back to that. I mean, people are writing him off like, yeah, it's been a brutal stretch thus far, but I don't think it's over yet. Now, if a few more starts, we see the same exact movie play out, then I'll say we're in bad times and have to figure it out. But I'm still holding out hope that he could fix it. It's not over yet, but we might be getting close to it. We'll have to see. But I do like Allen. And I do like Nico Dawes. I think he is capable of winning games for this club immediately if he needs to be called upon. In a small sample size last year's numbers were very good. And obviously we only have one game this season, but he gave up a single goal against the Wild and looked pretty damn good in that one too. So, if they have to go figure it out with Nico Dawes, I think he's capable of winning games too. L. Smith, I read that it's Billy G's last year as a GM, so he's going all in on this year and doesn't care if he walks to NJ in 2027. Where did you read that it's his last year? And why would it be his last year? Because he's on the hot seat or something? No, it's fine. I don't get awkward about much. Washed up. Can't wait to lose to Canucks on Sunday without Hughes. That would be brutal. To lose to the worst team in the league who just lost their best player. But again, sometimes this could kind of snap a group out of it. Maybe these guys improve their team and maybe it galvanizes the group. Like, okay, we're kind of out of the doldrums now. It is super close to now, but yeah, maybe by then they're completely over it. I don't know. You never know. I feel like these things can go one of two ways where it kind of new blood in the locker room kind of wakes them up and they maybe go play a little bit better than they have been, or maybe they're just completely broken because he's left. But either way, they got to find a way to win one of these next two games minimum. The Rock looked dead versus Tampa. It was completely dead. Dead. One of the deadest crowds I've ever seen. Markey made some really big saves early on, and there was like no reaction to it. Alan Ace, not sure what the record is on early games, but I have a good feeling about these two games. Oh boy, Alan. I hope you're right. I cannot have a good feeling about any game coming up anytime soon. Fitzy the garbage pail from Elliot Friedman. I think the fit of Ryan O'Reilly in New Jersey would be perfect for what they need. We'll see. It takes two to tango, but I definitely think there's something there. And this has been going on, I feel like, for a couple weeks now also. Richard, Christmas time, they'll get a decent crowd tomorrow and Sunday, maybe 12 to 14. Do they ever report attendance that low? I haven't looked. I don't think I've ever, but I feel like I saw a thing that had the Devils at 99.9% attendance, which seems insanely delusional to me, but who knows? I mean, I've been to a lot of games where there's tons of seats. James just got home and heard the news. What a shame. As usual, Fitz came in second. We need to fire Fitz chant at the Rock. A couple people tried to get him going last night, but there was no chance to be had last night whatsoever. The arena was as lifeless as I've seen it in quite some time. Just complete disinterest. And even before we were losing quickly, but I mean, they gave up the goals pretty quickly. So that really deflated the building. And it started to come to life a little bit when Luke scored that goal. That goal was absolutely beautiful. Cut the lead. And then the Devils gave up another goal after that. And it was a wrap. It was just all downhill from there. I just looked it up. It seems to be complete BS. Can't believe random comments on socials. Yeah, that's why this stuff is like just so much nonsense being regurgitated. Frank, if the rumors are true and Billy G is out in 2027, would you take a run at him? Absolutely. He was on a list I talked about the other day. I said the guys, when people were asking me like, oh, who would you want to be GM? I immediately said I would offer Marty the job and give him the chance. Despite all of you arguing it against with me, you'll never change my mind. I would give Marty the job if he wanted it. But then if he passed on it, Shanahan, Brian Burke, and then somehow, and I even said this, I don't know how likely it is, but if somehow Billy Guerin was ever available, he'd be at the top of my list too. Love Billy G. And today just shows you in a nutshell why. Balls of steel. Win now. Just traded a massive haul for a 2-year rental of Quinn Hughes with no guarantee of an extension. That is a man trying to win now. Washed up 24, 8 to 9,000 range occurred during poor performing seasons, particularly 2014 to 15, or 2014, 15, and 16, 17 per Chat GPT. Yeah, they fluff the numbers. I think every team does this in sports, but it's kind of weird. Like when I see the reports, I'm like, does no one care that the data is incorrect? Like if you go to a game, you'll clearly see that there's tons of seats, including last night. NJDevs 28. I can't watch the game tomorrow. I got to listen to it on the stupid NHL network. Subfail. Hamilton, Plot, and Markstrom need to be healthy scratches. Apparently, their poor play is perfectly fine according to management and coaching. I mean, when we have so many injuries, you guys want to see people healthy scratched. You guys are bloodthirsty. Like we're in such an injured state right now that to healthy scratch guys would mean we ice an even weaker team than the team we're already dealing with. Like, think about that, though. I understand, like, oh, you want to send a message, but, like, I'm also trying to win games. And for a team that's decimated with injuries and forced to play a ton of AHL players already, you're going to willingly healthy scratch a guy and play more minor league players to send a message? Like, I can't get on board with that. Brandon says, I'm going to be honest, I don't even think Fitz tried. Ryan pissed me off. The Wild got Quinn. Scott, I'm going to a casino, but something can stream it. Love the casino. What casino are you going to? John Fay, Ace, theoretically, what happens if Marty was to fail as a GM for us? Well, then you fire him. I mean, it is what it is. But we've had a guy who's been failing for several years now, and nothing's happened to him. So, Mason, I'm going to stay on the stream. I'm probably going to fall asleep and watch the postgame tomorrow, going to dream about Quinn on the Devils and winning a cup. Oh, boy. Spencer, even if we're a healthy scratch, we'd lose harder at this point. I don't know what that means. Devil Dog, I was cultured at Maria. I was cultured by someone I dated way back in the 90s at the Angelica Theater in Manhattan, working at a construction site nearby. Good times. What does that mean? I'm curious. Wouldn't be opposed to a run with Dawes. Rich, they go by tickets sold, not people in the building. No, I get that. But there's no way that they sold 99.9% of the tickets. And then when you look in the arena, a massive percentage of the people that bought tickets just decided not to come. That's just not adding up. I'm sorry. I'm going to call that's a fugazi. Brandon, we should all be ashamed of ourselves to believe Fitz would actually do something during the season. It's still early, guys. I think he's going to do something. Now, is it the something that you guys want to see? I don't know. It could be another. I hate to say it. We're probably going to use this poor guy's name forever when we're talking about shit like this too, which is unfortunate. But I think we're going to see a Sprong-ish, or maybe you prefer the word Sprong-esque. We may see a Sprong-esque move. I'd like to see O'Reilly or something more of that caliber, but I think at a minimum, you see a Sprong-esque type move. I don't know. I can't see completely nothing, but I'll call a Sprong-esque move for all intents and purposes also nothing. Celluloid, with Fitzgerald in charge, I never really felt he was coming to New Jersey anyway. I've achieved total apathy to this club. It's brutal. Private Pirate, are you at all concerned that Quinn falls in love with Minnie and fails to come to the Devils as a UFA? No, because I'm not devastated if he never comes. You know, would it be a nice surprise? Sure. But in the end, even if he signs a team-friendly deal, that's going to be a significant amount of money going towards defense when we probably won't need it. Obviously, you know, going into the 27-28 season, there is some question marks about the defense and the team as a whole. So there's so many different elements and variables that we can't really know right now when talking about this. But in the end, I don't think we would ever be dying without him. And so I would prefer to put those assets we were willing to part with in this particular deal, put that towards trying to get a game-changing forward and one that's nasty, that's going to help change the culture and identity of this team. Eric says, give it to me straight. Is this team even making the playoffs? I think so. And it could be delusional optimism. It could be, but I think they do. I think hopefully Jack comes back in about a month. And as long as they don't completely tank in this next month, which is a real concern of mine, if they play like we've seen recently, there's a chance they're in a deep hole. Hopefully they find a way to gut out some wins. Hopefully Markey or Allen can steal some games. We get lucky in some games. However it is, we need to get as many points as possible in that time. And as long as we're within striking distance of a playoff spot, hopefully when Pesci and Jack are back, we can close the gap if we're in one. Richard Ace, is Beezer a scout consultant for Team USA? Saw him about a month ago at one of the Big Ten hockey games being interviewed, but came in at the end. I believe so. I haven't really kept close tabs on him, but I do think he has some involvement with USA hockey in some extent. I think it was a scouting role of some kind that I saw. Jason, no, Ace, we got to go old school. We need big North American boys. Oh, from your mouth to Fitz's ears. Give me some smash mouth Americans and Canadians for sure. Later, John. See you tomorrow. Subphil, I'm just tired of this team being all talk. They have multiple high picks over the years, and those players just aren't moving the needle enough. Brad seems like he's uninterested in playing most games. I don't know about that, but it's just been a rough go, man. Like, we just need more out of these guys. Brandon, who in their right mind would want to come here? I think there's guys that would, but keep in mind, a lot of guys don't have a choice. Like, if you don't have trade protection and you get traded, like, you're gone, you know? So we don't have to necessarily convince anybody to come here other than a GM to trade them here. Like, you know, if guys get traded, they have to report. I mean, that's just, you know, you very rarely do you see guys be like, no, I'm refusing to go there. I mean, it's probably happened a couple times, but it's not a common thing. Richard says, news just in, Fitz did something, ordered a JD and Coke and got a new suit. Oh boy. All right, guys, that's it. I'm done. We have a big game tomorrow. So much going on. What a wild day. I was not expecting that. That derailed my entire night. I canceled plans over this. I sent out the text, and I was like, hockey news has happened. Hockey news has happened, and I'm not making it. I'm so sorry. So sorry to cancel. I'm really not that sorry. I like canceling plans, actually. But it happened so suddenly. A blockbuster. Quinn Hughes evades the New Jersey Devils and every other team that was supposedly in on him and lands with the Minnesota Wild, Billy Guerin, showing people how to get it done. How to get it done. What a legend. Signs the biggest deal in NHL history, Kaprizov, and then he does this. All right, guys, I'm done. It's not the end of the world we didn't get him. I do think the assets are better used towards forward help, or forwards. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm hoping we get a trade soon. I'm hoping we somehow find a way to win both of these weekend games. But it would be a disaster if they don't win at least one of them. I mean, and even that's pretty ugly. That'd be winning 1 out of 3 in this 3-game homestand. But at this point, I wanted to win 2 out of 3 to start, and we lost the first game. So now you're talking about winning both of them. I can't see it. But back tomorrow, tons of stuff in the works. Appreciate you all. If you're down in the dumps about Quinn, it's not the end of the world. Hopefully we get some help some other way. But that's it, guys. Be back soon. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Obviously, I've talked about the Fanatics thing. I didn't bring it up today, but hit the link in the chat, I think. Let me see. I just keep buying stuff. I can't help it. All this stuff's on crazy sale, and the prices change too. Some go up, some go down. I've been monitoring it, but overall, they're pretty damn good deals. If you're in the market for gifts or just new gear for yourself, hit the link that I just dropped in the chat. Fanatics. Every team, massive sale. They're making a big Q4 push, I think. They got to hit the numbers. All right, but that's it. I'm going to just enjoy watching and reading all this Quinn Hughes stuff. There's going to be a lot of the Lululemon gear. Sweet. My very first Lululemon, Jay Snow. But yeah, I'd imagine this is going to probably be on NHL Network all night and all the tweets and all the stuff. And it's going to be entertainment for me. This is a big one. We don't get this level of blockbuster in hockey all too often, but I'm going to enjoy it. And, hopefully we wake up to be nice to wake up to a trade. I would love to see that. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.